break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome to Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie, I can't speak for you, but I'm not going to get fooled again. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to let what happens in the opening week for the Colorado Buffaloes get me too excited. Because before you start talking about your Travis Hunter Heisman bet, which looks awesome, yes. Great call. Before you start talking about Shedeur Sanders going number one, just remember last year at this very time, Shedeur Sanders threw for 510 yards against TCU, and the party was on, and we all jumped on board the Buffaloes bandwagon. And I got the sense last night that we're all ready to jump right back on. Deion is back, or is he? Give me your excitement level after Colorado beat North Dakota State last night.
You want to know what's funny? My excitement level for Deion is like almost zero. Yeah, I'm kind of over that part of the story. I'm fully onto the Shedeur-Travis Hunter connection, chemistry, and how good that looks, because last night that was the difference maker for them on offense. And, you know, Travis Hunter playing all the snaps that he did on offense and defense and still finishing with 7 catches for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns, including the third one, which put a little space between Colorado and North Dakota State. North Dakota State eventually came back and made this like way too close of a game. I've got major issues with some of the Colorado coaching decisions, play calling stuff, and that's on Shedeur and on the coaching staff. But as far as like this connection between Shedeur and Travis, that's the headliner here, right? That's the number one thing. And if Travis stays healthy, this could be an all-time special connection. Now,
yeah, did you see you jumping right on the bandwagon?
I'm right here.
Are you not aware of who they played last night?
Well, yeah, but North Dakota State is not. I saw some scores last night that would have made that were making me like cringe a little bit. Did you know there's a team that's just called North American? I've never heard of this team before. They lost like 70-0 or something last night. There were some really lopsided scores. North Dakota State is a respectable program. Yeah. They're respectable, more than respectable FCS program. Yeah, I'm not going to go style points for, like, the overall. Like, they got out of there with a win, and the Shedeur and Travis thing that's real, dude. That to me is a chemistry of these guys playing together over the last few years, and I'm excited about that part of it.
Yeah, I think you have a right to be excited. I mean, obviously, Travis Hunter is awesome, and Shedeur Sanders is awesome. But come on, Maggie, you can't judge anything off. Those DBs were awful. Jimmy Horn outran 3 of them backwards. I mean, it was crazy. The speed of the 3 Colorado guys compared to those scrubs. The key play at the end of the game was a pass interference where number 35 with this big curly mullet just ran. I mean, he looked like he was running a 5.4 compared to the Colorado receiver running a 4.4. It was ridiculous. And by the way, Colorado's defense was the same thing. The North Dakota State guys are running wild. Where was I came away from that game excited for Colorado, but also very skeptical for a couple reasons. Their defense still looked porous, just like last year. And obviously, Deion, as I think you were referring to, botched the clock at the end. I don't know what he was doing. I can't quite get there. I can't quite get there that Shedeur Sanders is going to throw for 450 yards every game, because there's going to be such a step up in competition on the defensive side. Like, can Travis Hunter just throw the cornerback to the ground consistently against Kansas State and big-time Big 12 teams? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, but you know what? It is the Big 12. It's not like they're going into the Big 10 where you're going to be... No, I know, but the reputation of the Big 12 is not exactly one of it being stout defensively. This is not the Ohio States and the Michigans where you can't get past the 35. What we've known from the Big 12 more often than not, these are a lot of shootout games. You know, these are going to be a lot of offensive games. But it's fair to wonder. I mean, the other part of this is that the run game is still non-existent. So now we're nitpicking on some week 1 type things. But that was a big part of the offensive line, was obviously keeping Shedeur upright, not allowing him to be the most sacked quarterback in all of college football, which he was last year. And last night certainly looked better. But there were just too many times when they couldn't get a yard.
Well, and I also, too, Shedeur took some hits. I mean, against an FCS opponent, like, he can't take those hits consistently throughout the season. He hung in there, or was running. And also, Travis Hunter took some hits, too. Here's another question, too. Could Travis Hunter do this all year long? He definitely burned out a little bit last year. There's no doubt about it. I think his numbers started to decline.
Yeah.
You got to wonder, like, how many miles, I guess, that Colorado high-altitude training is helping him. I just feel like, they have – we'll see if this translates. They don't have a super hard schedule for a little while. They're sort of backloaded. But I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be a little bit of hype like last year, which makes sense. And it makes, like last year, I worry that they're going to fall off a little bit when they face tougher competition.
Well, I mean, yeah, but, let's see it first. I just wish that we could not only, but it's a football team. It's lots of guys on it, but just the Travis and Shedeur part of this, to me, like, again, I hear Deion in the post-game press conference. I'm like, I don't want to hear you. I mean, we have sound. We'll play it for you. But, like, I don't even want Deion's take on this. I'm so over, like, we don't need Deion's, like, headlines here. We don't need him battling with the media. We don't need him coming into a press conference and the first thing he says is, I know all of you, or I know some of you were wishing we had a loss. Like, get that stuff out of here, man. You don't need it. The Shedeur Travis stuff is good enough and compelling enough. If you can coach this team the right way, this is going to be an interesting enough football team because of all the great skill position players they have, where I don't need any more Deion, like, trying to sell me on the haters and how I better get in line or whatever. I don't want any of that. I just want the football side of it. Yeah. And last night, I think, showed you have enough on the football side to make this very interesting. I don't know if Shedeur and Travis are going top 5. We will talk about that for a whole year.
They definitely are, by the way.
But
I'm
let's
fine
watch
with that.
it. Let's just watch it and enjoy
Maggie,
it without the Deion baggage on this thing. I'm already sick of Deion. I just want the players now.
First of all, if he wins, then everybody's going to jump back on the Deion bandwagon. You can't separate Deion Sanders from Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter would never be in Colorado if Deion wasn't who he is. Shedeur Sanders, obviously, even more specifically, wouldn't be in Colorado. There's no way you can't separate. Also, this us against the world, the fact that Travis Hunter would score a touchdown and then go hug T.O., like, it's all part of the same thing. You can't, throw out the baby with the bathwater. This is all part of Deion. This is all, you can't say, I'm just so excited for the football and separate the Deion. That's impossible. You know that. You can't do that, Maggie.
Well, I want to do that.
He's part of the fabric. First of all, it's a triumvirate. It's Deion, Shedeur, and Travis. It always has been. And that's probably why Deion's going to leave after this year, because those guys are gone. But I can't say, like, I'm so excited for the football. That's never going to happen, Maggie. You're never going to be able to separate Deion Sanders from the Colorado Buffaloes.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. I want Deion to do this, I want him to realize, and he's not going to, and he knows how to play this media game, but you don't need it. That's what I'd love to sit down and talk to Deion about. You don't need it. You've got our attention with the football. You've got our attention with Shedeur and his ability. You're right. He took some big hits last night, but I also saw a lot of toughness of a guy who hangs in there, is able to scramble, set his feet again, and then find a receiver. We talked to Quincy Avery, who's like this very well-known, well-renowned quarterback guru who gave us a real honest assessment of Shedeur. And I actually thought that Shedeur's arm looked pretty good last night. I know it's high altitude, but I thought his arm looked pretty good last night. And he is a smart player. Now, calling his own number at the end of the game when you have to salt away a win with a minute left, that's not smart. But he is a college kid, so maybe you get better with that. But I did see a lot of that intelligence. I saw a lot of the toughness there. You see the accuracy when he has a second to breathe to throw a football. And I don't need Deion hyping him up for me anymore. I don't need Deion telling me I'm a hater if I say anything bad about Colorado anymore. I just want to watch the kid play.
Yeah, I think Quincy Avery said that Shedeur doesn't have the elite athleticism that some other quarterbacks do, like compare him, say, to Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams. I think you did. He runs. It's a little awkward, Mag. I don't think he's like the smoothest, fastest runner. He had some big runs, but I don't know if he gets out there in the open field. It's not like Jaden Daniels, who also took big hits, but was just the fastest guy in the entire team. And that's LSU, who was nothing but speed. So I kind of say nobody doubts Shedeur's arm. That's definitely there. The question is he super athletic to get out of trouble? Is he super big? Like, he's not as big as Josh Allen, and he's not as fast as Jaden Daniels. So that leaves him in a little bit of an awkward spot.
Well, let's also not forget, he's got Tom Brady as his mentor, apparently. Tom, he's not, Tom's going to tell him to move around in the pocket and hang in the pocket.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's just like holding on to the ball for a long time. Like, I think it kind of helped. Like, he had to win that game last night. The other thing, too, like, let's talk about the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, wait, I actually
adventure.
didn't hear the press conference. Did Shador call that pass play at the end when they're trying to start the clock?
Pete is telling me, Pete, we've got some Sanders sound ready here. I think Deion basically defended it, but let's hear a little Deion cut 5 defending, throwing the ball deep late.
You got to take what people give you. You can't take what you want, and it's not there. I mean, what is it? What did he throw for? 445 yards? You think we upset? Right. Who upset? So, they didn't have a running game. Well, the passing game looked pretty darn good today. So let's be appreciative and thankful that we got one of the premier guys in college football spinning it. We're going to run the ball. We're going to do that. We're going to have a lot more balance. Today was just that type of day. You got to take what they give you.
All right. Well, not really talking about the philosophy here. We're talking about the end of the game. Let's hear some more from Deion, Pete, about the clock management at the end of the game. He thought was more about being aggressive and getting first downs than running out the clock.
You want you want first downs. Right. If you want to run the clock down, they got a 5-man box. I mean, they got five down. Like, you got to look out there and say, okay, I got one-on-one right here. And I haven't seen one-on-one the whole game. So I got to do what I got to do to move these chains. And that's what that is.
Yeah, see, I'm going to disagree on that one. I think that's where you got to start using your speed, Perloff. You need to get some of those, either get to the outside with the jet sweeps and stuff like that. I mean, we've seen teams execute this a million different ways. You got a gift of a defensive pass interference. Not a gift. It was a call. It was a good call. But you get defensive pass interference on a 3rd and 8 when you are trying to salt the game away. Gives you the first down. You have a minute left. The game must end. You have 4 more downs there. You have to end the game there. Yeah,
and by the way, Shador underthrew that ball terribly, which is weird because he missed the interception where it hit the guy's leg on North Dakota State. I don't know if anyone saw that.
That was unreal.
He underthrew that ball too. So it's funny, Shador, I think there were a couple throws that made people a little nervous, but some of them he just uncorked it. The thing about that play is I understand the look was, I wonder, Maggie, and tell me if you agree with this, that Deion wanted a glorious ending to the game for his son, maybe in a Heisman campaign. I think he wanted to end that game with a Shador Sanders bomb.
Oh, boy.
If
we're going for style points in week 1 like
but
that.
But it's Deion. He's defined by style. He's the guy who would backstep into the end zone from the 20-yard line. I just think that you cannot separate Deion from any of this. You could say, I just want to see this incredible connection with Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. Good luck. That's pure fiction, Maggie. That is not going to happen.
Yeah, but Perloff, we're talking about Colorado's squeaks by, gets their win last night against North Dakota State in their opener. But you start thinking about and making that the main thing or a thing, you're going to be doomed. And they almost were last night in a final attempt by North Dakota State. Fell 4 yards short of what would have been the game-winning drive. Also,
they got a huge assist from the North Dakota State coach, Tim Polasek. Why he kept on putting in a backup quarterback in the middle of drives when the starting quarterback in North Dakota State was starting his own Heisman campaign, did whatever he wanted. They kept pulling him and killing drives. What the heck was that about?
Someone explained this to me like I'm 5. I don't. All of a sudden, when the backup first came in the middle of the drive, I thought the quarterback was hurt.
Yeah, I did too, because he threw a beautiful pass like he did all night. Then he kind of looked like he might have limped a little bit. Then they brought in this sort of, I describe it as a combination of Tim Tebow and Taysom Hill.
Yes.
They brought in, there was, Oklahoma used to use this guy, the dump truck, Bell or something. And I thought, this guy's going to run for 8 yards. And he just stunk. He was terrible. He made the wrong decision on every single play. He was in there and killed a bunch of drives. Then even they got to him in the second half and killed a couple drives too. Anyway, I didn't explain it. I didn't understand either. I mean, the funny thing is North Dakota State had a real chance. They were up 20-17.5 and didn't do much in the second half, but that was probably a little too close for Colorado's comfort.
Oh, you think so? And,
yeah.
I didn't understand. The backup quarterback from North Dakota State comes in. You're like, all right, this guy's going to be like a bowling ball, right? He's just going to take the direct snap, and he's just going to go right through the line. And then all of a sudden, he's throwing like a 3-yard pass.
Yeah, for a 5-yard loss.
I couldn't tell. I was like, is he throwing it with the right hand? Like, is he lefty actually? And he threw it righty, and it was all weird. He's trying to do this Patrick Mahomes thing. I didn't understand it. But yeah.
The funny thing is, Shedeur threw for 450 yards and probably had the second best quarterback game on the night. Cam Miller was 18 for 22, 277, 1 touchdown, 81 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. I don't know, and he's not a prospect at all, Maggie. I've never seen him on that kind of radar, but he tore up Colorado, which makes me a little bit nervous when you get to Avery Johnson and those guys later in the year.
I thought you were going to bring up Trey Lance's brother, who's out there, wide receiver, blocking, doing a lot of stuff. I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I don't know if North Dakota State's good. It's hard to assess this. All right, it's going to be a great season, though. I'm so excited. We're back in. At least the good thing we are going to assess every Colorado game is going to be big news, and it's going to be really fun to break down. You have to admit they're back.
Okay, can we just play the last Deion cut, though, before we go to break? I know we've got to go to break. We've got a lot to do today. We've got so many plates we're going to be spinning today in the best way possible. But we have a packed show. But this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying I don't need the Deion part of the story anymore. Pete, can we play the final Deion cut, please?
Some of you got upset that we got the W. Some of you, I'm really mad that we didn't get the L. So God bless you all. You have to wait again till next week. God bless you.
Just didn't need it. Just don't need it anymore. It's the same note. It's the same thing. It's the same. It's the same troll. It's the same. All this stuff. You had a night where your son and basically your other pseudo son and Travis Hunter had this all-time awesome debut. Another great one. Yeah, right. And everyone's excited about it. We don't need and to all the haters in the house, just let it go.
Yeah, Maggie, after you fix Deion Sanders, why don't you go fix Jerry Jones? Like, what are you talking about? This has been going on for 35 years. He's not going to listen to you. He's never going to change. And if you expect him to, that's on you. You really think he's going to let it go? Does that sound like Deion Sanders?
Can we put a poll question up, EJ? Are you back in on Colorado? Yes or no?
I think it's funny.
Or are you in?
I think that's going to be real close. I think there might be a lot of no's because of what happened last year, that they started out 3-0 and fell apart. All right. It's a significant day, Maggie.
I know.
It's a historic day. It's a sad day and an exciting day. It's a lot of things. I'm feeling very emotional. It is Pete Bellatti's last day on the Maggie and Perloff show. Pete, we're going to miss you, but we have an interesting parting gift coming up. We are going to let you take the mic and get everybody mad at you before you leave. I want callers to just shred you for what you're about to do. All right. You ready, Pete?
I'm always ready. I'm ready to be hated.
Coming up next, your opportunity to yell at Pete Bellotti Jr. for getting it wrong. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Bellotti, it's time to say oh, Pete Bellotti, it's time to say so long. You grumbled and groaned, but we stayed strong. With your love for old shows and your curmudgeon charm, now you're off to Amy, and we're raising the alarm. Pete will be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to Amy Lawrence where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. You offered to run the White Sox, what a plan. But running on show, you were our grumpy old man. With the NBA on NBC playing in your head, we'll carry on now without all that dread. Good riddance, Pete will be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to Amy Lawrence where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. You offered to run the White Sox, what a plan. But running our show, you were our grumpy old man. With the NBA on NBC playing in your head. We'll carry on now without all that dread. Good riddance, Pete, we'll be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to A.D. Lawrence where you can rumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. You ran the fort, but always with a scowl. Now the airwaves will be free of your growl. So here's to a new day without your TV fuss. People out of you're gone, but it's good for us. Good riddance, people be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to Amy Lawrence where you can rumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. So long, Pete Bellotti, we're glad to see you go. The vibe will be lighter, the laughter will flow. No more complaints, just a fresh new start. Goodbye, Pete, we're happy to part.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. It's a bittersweet day here. I'm here in the New York studio. Maggie's at the home man cave. Unfortunately, if you haven't heard, Pete Bellotti is leaving us, not leaving the Infinity Sports Radio Network, but leaving the show. And we're really sad. Maggie, we'll pay tribute to Pete later because I think we're setting him up for a disaster here, a real disaster.
What do you mean? We set him up for success always.
Pete has wanted to share this all week long. His Mount Rushmore of Saturday Night Live characters.
That's
so the
right.
top 4 Saturday Night Live characters. Do you realize how hard this assignment is, Maggie?
Well, listen, Pete is going to be moving over to be the executive producer for Amy Lawrence's show, which is heard on many of these same Infinity Sports Network stations. And, you know, this is awesome for you two, Pete. We're so excited that you and Amy are going to be teaming up. This is a great combination, a great pair. Obviously, our loss, so we're a little in our feelings about it. But if you keep coming with Mount Rushmore of Saturday Night Live takes, I mean, you have an opportunity to expose yourself to a whole new audience who will be saying very not nice things about you.
Well, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to be hated.
All right.
Pete, you've been on the morning show for how long at this company?
Since we started,
When was that?
that was 2013.
Wow. Over 10 years doing the same shift in the morning, holding down multiple different shows. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it. so many rotating shows in this place. But it was very exciting, and we'll get into it a little bit as we go along.
Yeah, say the list.
Yeah.
Let's. I don't want to talk about Pete.
Sorry.
I want to talk about Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, the mountain should be made after Dan Aykroyd. Because he's not in my 4, but he is one of the best.
Wait. You can't say that.
What?
So you're already hedging your bets here. The mountain should be made of him?
This is my list. All right? This is not the one that everyone thinks is the best. This is my Mount Rushmore. Eddie Murphy, Phil Hartman, Will Ferrell, and this man.
She's chopping broccoli, chopping broccoli. She's chopping broccoli, chopping broccoli. She's chopping broccoli.
Yes, Dana Carvey. Those are my 4. That's my Mount
Wait,
Rushmore.
Can you say it again slowly here? I got to write these down so I
Okay.
can shred them.
All right. Eddie Murphy,
Heard of him?
Phil Hartman,
Okay.
Dana Carvey, Will Ferrell.
Where's Robert Downey Jr.? as
Seriously.
bogus as-
Did you learn nothing this
Right
week?
next to Charles Rocket on that list.
You know, can I do my first impressions of Pete's list here?
Please.
I actually think that he has nailed this because we talked about earlier this week who had the best post SNL career. If you're talking about the amount of recurring characters and like characters that carried the show during certain eras, I think this is almost an unassailable list. Like the amount of cultural touchstone characters from these 4 men. I mean, I think Pete's got it here. I really do.
So, some big snubs. Pete, you want to do the snubs? Because we all know there's a few huge names.
A bunch of snubs. Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Belushi,
Downey,
Chris Farley.
Downey,
Sandler,
Downey.
Downey.
He had 4. He appeared on camera 4 times, maybe.
So, Maggie, do you have a weak link of the 4? If you had to kick off one off the island, I know you're a big Phil Hartman fan, so I don't think it's going to be him, but I have one that I actually kind of question.
I see no weak links here. I think this is like an offensive line Cowboys in the 90s. I don't think there's any. These are all Pro Bowlers.
I'm not sure. If I was going to take one off, it would be Dana Carvey.
I don't think you can do that.
Is Dana Carvey as iconic as, let's say, Dan Aykroyd or Chris Farley? Yes, I mean, in some ways, yes, but I feel like the highs of those guys is right there. I don't know.
Every time I watched Dana Carvey on Saturday Night Live, I laughed. And that's what Saturday Night Live is supposed to do, make you laugh.
So,
every time each one of these characters was on SNL, I laughed at everything they did.
Okay, Pete, that's a good reason. This is your list. I'm just going to defend you a little bit. Think about Dana Carvey, how many times his characters led the show. He was doing Church Lady. He was doing George W. Bush. He was doing Garth with Wayne and Garth. With Wayne's World. There's just so many of those, let alone the one-offs of the chopping broccoli and the massive head wound Harry and all the other kind of smaller ones that he did. How many times did Dana Carvey lead off the show?
Perot.
And Perot.
That's the big one.
He's doing 2 presidential candidates.
I hear you. I just, I don't know. I just think some of the bigger names could make a big
All right,
argument.
who are you putting there instead of
And
Dana
Johnny
Carvey?
Carson. Don't forget he did Carson.
Yeah,
too.
I think what
That was Carcinio.
Right, Carcinio.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I would put, I would put Aykroyd and Bill Murray and Belushi ahead of him.
I think, though, what plays in his favor, not that he didn't do other things, but he's known for SNL. That is the peak of his career. And that's his calling card. The other guys, I think, some of them in retrospect, benefit from the entirety of their career, from just what they did on SNL. Carvey has to be near top of the list.
Yeah, one thing, I'll give a little credit to the guys who built the foundation. That I think I'm looking more like a founding father way. Pete.
Okay.
So that's and honestly, I think Belushi is underrated. If you took Belushi out of the original cast, Chevy Chase was a big star, I know, but that was the special sauce. That is I think why I wasn't there. I don't remember, but I think that's why he was their Chris Farley.
Right. that's where Chris Farley got his inspiration from. Belushi.
Yeah. What about some of the women, too? I think I'm looking at a lot of lists. Kate McKinnon and Kristen Wiig are high up on it, and Gilda Radner.
Gilda Radner was excellent. Was beyond excellent. I thought that the strongest were those four.
Yeah.
It's just a personal preference.
No, it's a pretty good list. Are we going to put this out there on the socials, see if people agree with Pete?
Sure.
Gosh, Bogus is sitting here. We were ready to really just tear him down. This is kind of harder than I thought.
It's only 6:30.
Right.
We got time. Just loosening up.
Right.
We could be nice to him right now if you want to start, though.
Yeah, we could be.
All
we
right.
have a long show.
So, Pete, there are people who can't or smartly wouldn't be here today
Good for
to
them.
see Pete's last show in person, but they have sent along their thoughts in this new phase of the Pete career. And here's one of those old friends.
Pete the Body Bilotti. What's up? It's the artist formerly known as Mraz. I'm making this video from my backyard where I'm currently cleaning up dog crap. Which is ironic because that's what you fed me every morning at about 5 a.m. when I asked you to do a little extra work. I'm just kidding, buddy. Calm down. I want to wish you the best of luck in your next venture producing overnights. You're going to absolutely crush it. Take care, buddy. I have nothing but love for you. We're going to miss you in the mornings. Take care, pal.
That's very nice. Thank you, Sean.
You know what wasn't nice, Pete? Having to that was sent to us as a video, not just an audio file, and he was shirtless.
oh, no.
And that's a lot of skin and a lot of chest hair. And I do want to point out, for those who are unfamiliar with Sean, as he makes a feeding me dog crap joke, that's a man who actually did eat dog excrement once.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know this story. Why?
He was sitting at home and he saw a little like brown speck type thing in his carpet, and he has a dog, and he was afraid that it was chocolate, and you know dogs can't eat chocolate. Now the normal human would have just picked it up and thrown it in the garbage to save everybody's from the chocolate, but Sean, assuming it was chocolate, picked it up off the floor and ate it, and it happened to be a tiny shard of his dog's droppings.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
There's the story.
Yeah,
And-
I've heard that one.
Right.
There's so many parts of it that just you have to be like really have damage to your frontal lobe to really get there, to get to you eating the poop. And I love Marash to death.
Damaged my frontal lobe.
I thought too. He said, "I'm here picking up dog crap," and he actually did crap his pants in that studio that Pete is sitting in right now. It was a heck of a day for you guys that morning. Pete, were you were standing right next to Marash when he pooped his pants?
Yeah. What an exhilarating experience that was.
I'm never gonna get that back.
Leaving.
No way. Well, yeah. But
Surprised you didn't leave the solar system after that, let alone the show.
Can we talk about Marash's latest tweet? Did anybody see what he promised last night?
He's had enough of him already.
He said that if he looked at the NFL.com predictions for the Giants game, and he said if the Giants don't score more than 12 points, he will shave his butt hair and make a toupee and wear it on his head permanently.
Adam Rank.
Adam Rank, our buddy,
predicted a 19-12 Vikings win. So
Right.
he said if the Giants only scored 12 points, the butt hair toupee is for Adam Rank, not for Sean. That's the way I read
my
it.
question, though.
Wait, well, they're both bald, so that I thought. Wait, so okay.
Either way, he's threatening to shave his butt and put the hair onto somebody's head.
But
Who is the poor person who would have to fashion that toupee together? Are we not thinking about this poor soul?
Well, I know who would have to who would shave his butt. His wife would do that, and then I'm assuming he would do the knitting of the wig.
There's no way she would.
Yeah, he'll do the knitting. Yeah, I'm sure.
By the way, what kind of moron would bet on Daniel Jones to score more than 12 points? That's what I don't understand.
Now, my question is, if
The one that keeps getting better jobs. Moron.
If they score 11 or 12, and if they score under 12, does he still have to do it?
I say yes.
I agree.
Definitely.
He's got to hit the over to survive that.
I agree with that. He'll find a way out of it. But
Right, so we're all Vikings fans next Sunday.
Gosh.
Skull.
Let's go.
I'm so sorry. I feel really embarrassed that I misread who the butt hair toupee was for.
Jeez, Dartmouth.
Yeah. I mean, this is the full Marash experience. Okay. You're right. He's going to make it for Adam Rank of NFL Network.
Yeah.
That's very kind of him.
Now, Adam shouldn't wear it if he ends up being right. Sean should have to wear his butt hair toupee.
Yeah, that would be a better bet.
Right. Your perception is the correct one because it's Sean. He thinks Adam, after being right, is going to put Sean's butt hair on his head.
I'm sorry. I have this image of Sean wearing a butt hair toupee right now. I can't get, or just wearing a toupee. It's like when George Costanza wore a toupee in Seinfeld. Have you guys ever made him wear a toupee? That would be so funny.
Well, it's kind of like when Pete doesn't shave his head.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It looks horrible.
That's another great Pete moment. We had a SI swimsuit model shaved Pete's head in that studio one day.
That's right. On Gio and Jones.
Yeah. What a trooper she was. Sarah Sampaio shaved his head.
Yep.
And we never heard from her again.
Well, we did one more time.
We did.
One more time. And then she got too popular and then never heard from her again.
That's right. No chance she knows us now.
No.
Yeah. I've been through that same process with many SI swimsuit models. Hey, I have Chrissy Teigen's number in my phone. It's weird. She won't text back.
Why did you say blocked?
But you got your hack DM.
Yeah. That's true, actually.
I forgot about that.
Wait, when you started, how long have you been shaving your head, Pete?
Since she shaved my head.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good story.
I didn't want to get rid of my hair for a while. I should have, but, it's a connection. You know?
Do you feel the same way about your butt hair, gentlemen? That you don't want to shave that off? There's also a connection. This is uncharted territory for me, so I'm going to let the guys take this one.
No connection to that.
I'll be honest. I don't have enough butt hair to make a toupee.
I agree. I'm the same way.
That was my biggest question.
Yeah.
How the hell does Marash have enough butt hair to make a toupee?
Is there a rhyme or reason to this for you guys? Like, is there any way to tell when you're looking at a man fully clothed how much butt hair he has?
No, there's no chance.
Well,
but you can tell if a guy's got a lot of body hair, like Steve Carell in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Right. If a guy's got like that tuft of back hair that comes out of the back collar of his shirt, he's got a lot of butt hair.
Right. It's going all down his back.
Yeah.
You remember the actor Dan Hedaya from The Dad in Clueless? Like, you could tell.
Yeah. Dak had a hairy butt. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Perloff, that's the most random pull you'll ever have in your life.
Well, in Cheers, they always talked about his back hair. Like,
Rookie of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so your going away your parting gift, Pete, is a Sean Marash butt hair toupee. Here you go. We have it for you.
All right. We have 3 more hours of this. What else will happen then?
Actually, since Bogus, EJ, and I did not have enough butt hair, we combined. You got a Bogus, EJ, Perloff special toupee.
Just a little something to remember us by.
Think of all the DNA in that Dartmouth, bad play-by-play, all the Marvel knowledge you could ever want, all sitting on your head right now.
No.
All right. Bogus, please give us a headline. Please change the topic. Please.
Colorado, North Dakota State was one of 19 games last night between
I'm going to pee my pants.
FBS and FCS schools. And the 31-26 final in Boulder, the closest of those 19, the average margin of victory, 36.8 points, including number 11 Missouri pummeling Murray State.
5 in the box for Missouri, 2 safeties back. Wants to throw it on first down, hit as he throws, tosses it, picked off by Missouri, running the left side and into the end zone for the Tigers. Toriano Pride, the transfer from Clemson, with a pick 6 of 25 yards, and like that, Missouri goes up by 3 scores.
And they won 51-0. The call courtesy of Learfield. The Tiger offense led by QB Brady Cook, throwing for a score, running for another. There was also a 22nd-ranked Kansas shaming Lindenwood 48-3. Down a level or 6 from that is Stephen F. Austin hosting what Maggie mentioned, North American from NAIA. The Lumberjacks scored touchdowns on 11 straight possessions. They outgained the Stallions 675-40, even though they played 5-minute quarters in the second half because SFA led 70-0 intermission. The final was 77-0.
Oh, fun.
This like North American University. I have no idea about anything about the academics, but it just reminds me of another George Costanza quote when he tries to give out money from a fake charity called the Human Fund. We give money to people. It's like we're just calling this school just North American. We got nothing else. I think it's in Texas.
School. You're like school.
Welcome to school university. We're happy
State
to
University.
have you.
SU.
Honestly, they should hire Connor Stallions or something. They need a little help, a lot of help.
They're already called the Stallions. They could just be the Connor Stallions from North American.
It makes perfect sense.
As for the pros, Brandon Aiyuk is getting paid, not traded. The 4-year extension with the Niners reportedly worth a max value of $120 million. Aiyuk will get $47 million apparently between now and April 1st. And speaking of getting paid, Steph Curry and the Warriors agreeing on a 1-year extension for the 26-27 campaign. It's worth a measly $62.6 million, which will make Curry the third in NBA history to earn over $500 million in his career, joining LeBron and KD. Carlos Alcaraz shocked in straight sets in round 2 of the U.S. Open by a gentleman named
Botik van de Zandschulp.
You couldn't even. You wimp, Andrew Bogus. You are soft.
Not even a wimp. Okay, his first name is Botik. What he says after that, I have listened to 9 times. I have seen it spelled. I still don't know how to form these sounds.
Botik van de Zandschulp.
Van de Zandschulp? I don't know what that is.
He sounds like someone who would be like a count living in a castle or something. Ends up on a reality show. It's like, hey, do you want to marry a royal? And it's like, here's Bodik.
One victory.
Where's he from, Bogish?
Transylvania.
Yeah. Where's Dr. Evil from? I think he's from the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
By the way, watch the whole match. Apparently, this guy has been terrible all year long. Had no aces the entire U.S. Open and beat Alcaraz. I have no idea how. Alcaraz complaining about the lights, complaining about the sound. He hates New York with a passion. That kind of bothers me because I want to be friends with Carlos Alcaraz.
This dude ranks 74th in the world right now. He's been as high as 22. And his last name is VAMDEZANDSCHULP. There's too many consonants.
You should put it in one of those translators, those computer translators.
Because Bob Johnson.
Alf.
Yeah. Speaking of Alf, he's here today for your last show.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alf.
I love that. Good man.
All right. Thank you, Andrew Bogus. I can't wait for 3.5 more hours of this. Tributes to Pete. Pete's last day. He's got his SNL Mount Rushmore up. Give it one more time, Pete, for everybody out there.
Be Eddie Murphy, Phil Hartman, Will Ferrell, and Dana Carvey.
All right. Give us a call, 855-212-4227. I have a few different guys. I would go old school, but I do like your list. I think Maggie really likes your list because you and Maggie are aligned on these kind of things.
That's right.
Of course.
Yeah.
But coming up next, we're going to talk about a place that is apparently not aligned. Bad vibes in an NFL locker room. That's next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Amy Lawrence. Oh, Pete Bellotti, it's time to say so long. You grumbled and groaned, but we stayed strong. With your love for old shows and your curmudgeon charm, now you're off to Amy, and we're raising the alarm. Good riddance, Pete, we'll be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to Amy Lawrence, where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. You offered to run the White Sox, what a plan. But running our show, you were our grumpy old man. With the NBA on NBC playing in your head, we'll carry on now without all that dread. Good riddance, Pete, we'll be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to Amy Lawrence, where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. You offered to run the White Sox, what a plan. But running our show, you were our grumpy old man. With the NBA on NBC playing in your head, we'll carry on now without Without all that dread, good riddance, Pete will be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to A.B. Lawrence where you can rumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. You ran the fort, but always with a scowl. Now the airwaves will be free of your growl. So here's to a new day without your TV fuss. People, Lottie, you're gone, but it's good for us. Good riddance, Pete will be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to A.B. Lawrence where you can rumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. So long, Pete Bellotti, we're glad to see you go. The vibe will be lighter, the laughter will flow. No more complaints, just a fresh new start. Goodbye, Pete, we're happy to part.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining.
Running our show, you
30
are a
seconds
grumpy
remaining.
old man. Maggie.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, calling. Oh, calling Gloria. Gloria, Gloria.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
All right, back on Maggie and Perloff show. I thought things were going great in Jets land. I thought this was a relatively stable last few weeks of training camp. Relatively. I know that there's issues with a certain player, Hassan Reddick, whatever. But generally, I felt like the vibes were pretty good comparatively, for the Jets. It's a low bar. But Maggie, you brought my attention to a report that says the opposite.
Yeah, so this one comes to us from The Athletic, who did a big survey of 31 NFL agents, okay? 31 NFL agents. They all had to respond to questions from who's got the best franchise to who's got the most unstable franchise. And the most unstable franchise, the Panthers got the most votes, then the Raiders, then it was the Jets, tied with the Jags, the Cowboys, and the Cardinals, all receiving votes, Broncos and Commanders. But what really caught our eye was this from an agent who said, the Jets are the most unstable franchise. There is complete disarray over there. Look at how they've handled Aaron Rodgers. Has one player had more power than him? He skipped minicamp. They've been unable to convert him into a team player. The vibe inside the building is terrible. End quote. So that's what's coming from one agent right before the season has started. Now, this is not what Aaron Rodgers is up to necessarily, but this is someone talking about Aaron Rodgers. I thought the Jets were more than happy to give Rodgers as much power as he could possibly take. They want him running that offense. I don't see that as a bad vibe, but one agent is getting a terrible vibe inside the building.
You know, these anonymous polls, it's kind of weird. Like, for example, that Patrick Mahomes on the anonymous NFL Network Top 100 poll was 4th. I have a little trouble. Like, how do we know that agent doesn't just have an issue?
Well, they might, but again, now you're really lobbing something at. First of all, it behooves agents to have good relationships with all the teams.
Right.
So, taking somebody out, that could be one of your clients down the road really needs to like make their life-changing money one day. So I think it's the agent should never be burning bridges with the teams.
But that's why they're
trying not to.
anonymous, though. So I don't think that's a risk.
Right. I mean, I just thought this was to say the vibe inside the building is terrible. I feel like we need a little bit more on that. Is this because everyone's on the hot seat and they know that they're on the hot seat? The coaching staff, the GM. I think Rodgers admitted that they're all feeling the pressure this year. Maybe that leads to a bad vibe, but they've got a good team. So on paper, I don't know why the vibe would be bad.
Well, I think the vibe seems kind of nebulous to me. What's the real issue with this team? Like, how healthy are they going to be? Aaron Rodgers is coming off an Achilles. Morgan Moses is 145 years old. Tyron Smith's old. Like, honestly, I look at that team and I don't care at all. I care 0% about the vibe, because if those players are on the field,
right,
they're going to be good, right? Like, it's just honestly, like, you have a much bigger problem here than vibe. It's and even if Aaron Rodgers, I agree with what you said, Maggie. Like, I think they want Rodgers to have control. That's not a problem. You have a much bigger issue here about his health. Is he going to have full confidence in that leg? Now, you were out of training camp, Maggie. You saw him walking around. You saw him throwing the ball. Do you sense that there'll be any lingering effect? Because that's really, for me, the number 1, number 2, and number 3 story for the Jets.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who knows, right? We talked to Rock Positano about this, world-renowned foot and ankle surgeon, and he said this is hard to get over the mental side of it.
Yeah.
Rodgers looked fine when I was there and got to see him in person. That was one day. I can't claim that I've been there every single day. But, the funny thing is, like, this anonymous agent is saying who's ever had more power than Rodgers? Like, Tom Brady going to Tampa, Peyton Manning going to Denver. I mean, this is kind of what happens when
Russell
you have
Wilson.
when you have, well, that one didn't work out, but like that one, I think this is what they want. The Jets are not exactly known for like this great leadership, this great culture, this great pedigree of winning. Here comes Rodgers to provide a little bit of hope. They were desperate for Rodgers. Anything he wants, he will get. It's a little bit of a savior complex, but in this case, it might actually work.
Yeah, I have no problem. I mean, let's honestly talk about the only person who I've really got me nervous about the Jets was Dr. Positano. He's like, just be careful, because I'm seeing it makes sense to pick them in the AFC East because the Bills lost Stephon Diggs. The Dolphins have major injuries on defense. So I don't know, but I did it last year, Maggie. And what went wrong last year? Was it the vibes or was it the health? Because the fact that they won 7 games after Aaron Rodgers says to me something's going okay on the vibes.
Yeah, I think the defense is really good.
Yeah, the vibes have to be good there. I mean, everyone loves Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, and I watch Hard Knocks. I don't know. I have trouble believing this agent. You know what? The funny thing is, you can't trust GMs, you can't trust coaches, you can't trust agents at all. Those are actually the biggest liars. I mean, college coaches of any form are the biggest liars on planet Earth, except for politicians. But then agents are, do you trust an agent? Like, that's why, like, this anonymous agent report, I'm like, God, there must be some interesting things in that, because those guys have a lot of things to say.
Pete Bellotti, who has his last day with us today, is going to be moving to do overnights with Amy Lawrence, who we love, obviously. Did his Mount Rushmore of Saturday Night Live cast members. This was like what he wanted to do on his final day on the show. Perloff, you need to do your Mount Rushmore of liars. Like, who are the liars? Because agents, for sure. I was also surprised that the Cowboys got as many votes as the Jets for being an unstable organization. When I think of the Cowboys, I feel like they've got 99 problems. I don't think unstable is being one of them, though.
Really? If you were looking at a list of teams and you had to vote on this, like, I don't know, like, what teams jump to mind as unstable? Obviously, the Jets are going to be on there. I think there's some history, too.
Ones that fire their coaches all the time, ones that feel like it's whatever way the wind blows, people who don't have an identity or culture or winning. I know the Cowboys, it's been a while, but, I don't see them as an unstable franchise. You got to get away from all the Jerry sound bites and really look at what the team is. It's a consistent, more on the winning ledger in terms of regular season than not.
That totally makes sense, but I think if you're looking at a piece of paper and you have to answer that question, like if for some reason the Cowboys do jump to mind for me. And I think it's all the noise with Jerry. That's the only reason.
Your Mount Rushmore of liars.
All right.
Politicians, college football coaches, agents.
I think it's kind of hard to get past politicians. They might have all 4 spots, but I'll tell you who did not lie. Me, Andrew Perloff, when I told you this stupid Brandon Aiyuk situation would finally get settled. We're going to break it down. America's nightmare is over. Brandon Aiyuk is signed. What does it mean for the Niners? Next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Radio Network. Yes, the light. They've got the power. Power. Dump.
Four minutes remaining.
Holy fucking shit, buddy! Finally with a fucking opener! Holy God!
3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Andrew Perloff here in the New York studio. Maggie at her home man cave. It's Friday. We have college football. I know, Maggie, you stayed up late because Colorado kept everybody intrigued by letting North Dakota State hang around. But we came into last night, thinking, oh my gosh, Brandon Aiyuk, this is going to be the story. See, for me, Maggie, I'm not that into this, and I'll tell you why. Brandon Aiyuk signs a deal with the 49ers. It's 4 years, $120 million, a lot of money. That's $30 million per year. They have their star receiver back. They are fully loaded except for tackle Trent Williams. But I got to tell you, it feels to me like this deal was so inevitable that it was going to happen, and the team was negotiating publicly. They were leaking out stories. Brandon Aiyuk was leaking out social media video. We were always going to get to this place. Always. It was always going to be $30 million a year. It was always going to be about 4 years. So what did we do this summer with Brandon Aiyuk? Like, honestly, I don't know if there's a winner or a loser in this story. I feel like we are the loser for watching this negotiation. I think the Niners are back where they were. They're an NFC contender for sure. I don't think they took any kind of hit here because they do have Aiyuk, which is important. You know, they do need him. He is their leading receiver. So I think there was a lot of noise here, but we land exactly where we're supposed to, where the 49ers are basically, once they get Trent Williams done, are going to be fully loaded and a contender again.
Oh, now you'll admit that Brandon Aiyuk is actually important to the 49ers. That's been a little bit of different tune that you've been spinning over the last couple months. But here's the thing. So you're right. We are the losers here because this dragged out and we got played. And ultimately, I think both sides, I don't want to say everyone got what they wanted, but I see Aiyuk as the clear winner here because Aiyuk got paid about where he was wanted to be paid, obviously, because if he had just been going for the money and the top dollar, he would have likely accepted a deal to the Patriots, if we believe all that reporting, that he would have gotten a couple $1 million more to go to New England, but he didn't want to go to a team that's going to stink. He could have gone to Cleveland maybe, but didn't want to go to Cleveland for some reason. Wanted to stay in the Bay Area and with a contender. So he gets the money. He gets the $75 million upfront, basically the Amon-Ra St. Brown, guarantees. And he gets to stay with a contender, gets to stay with a quarterback that he has some really good chemistry with and gets to be relevant. So to me, this shows you should always hold out. I think Brandon Aiyuk, it got weird and it was odd, but you can't say that he didn't win out here. He is not playing on the final year of the deal. He got an extension and he gets to stay with the contender. To me, this is the winner to the player. And
But that means that I don't understand this model. You're saying the team, if there's a winner, then the team is a loser?
So I know that people have been saying this a lot, like this was always going to be the inevitable outcome, and they always wanted to sign Aiyuk. I'm not so sure that's the truth. They shopped Aiyuk before the draft. We got a tweet from Diana Rossini from yesterday, and Diana's information, I think, is airtight. She said the 49ers were willing to trade Aiyuk if they could get a top-flight wide receiver to replace him. They offered a third-round pick to Denver for Cortland Sutton, and then would have dealt Aiyuk to the Steelers, but the Broncos declined the offer. So I think this was real. I think they really were trying to shop him. I think that the 49ers were potentially looking for a way to get Aiyuk off the roster. So to me, yeah, I think the player wins because the player ultimately gets to stay, and that's what he wanted and gets paid.
Yeah, but he wants to stay because they're an awesome team. Like, how is the team a loser in this situation? Again, I don't understand. Are they a better team today than they were yesterday?
I don't know if it's like necessarily the team is the loser. I think the team is the one who ends up looking kind of like, did they have a plan? Like, what was the plan?
To sign Brandon Aiyuk to a $30 million a year deal or some receiver. They just wanted
or was it to trade him? I see. That's what I'm saying.
I think they were playing the market. It was a calculus. It was the decision. Like, okay, but he wants this much money. Let's look around and see what our options are. Like, they obviously could. They were happy either way, right?
Well, I don't know. Like, I would they have been just as happy with getting Amari Cooper or Cortland Sutton or someone else to replace Brandon Aiyuk and then getting him off the books? Because you're right, and you've been pointing it out for weeks. They did draft Ricky Pearsall. Looks like they drafted their replacement. He couldn't stay healthy during training camp, and maybe it spooked him a little bit. But, there's this idea that, like, the 49ers are going to have to pay the piper at some point, and that Aiyuk and his deal is just another big contract that just has to be accounted for before you get to the Brock Purdy contract next year. So
it's just funny to say, well, Brandon Aiyuk got what he wanted. He gets to stay on this awesome team, and this awesome team are the losers in this situation. Like, if they're awesome, how can they be losers? The thing to me, I think San Francisco came in this offseason. This is my opinion what happened. I have no idea. That the prices went up for wide receivers during the offseason. So they looked around and said, oh, okay, well, Amon-Ra St. Brown's coming at 30. We're probably going to have to pay Brandon Aiyuk 30. And at a certain point, they basically said, we're not going to be able to pay Debo next year or 2 years from now, probably next year. So we might as well do this deal. Like, don't you think the market changed during this offseason?
Yes.
These people were saying, like, they should have paid him in March for $28 million. But I don't think they knew in March that all these guys were going to get so paid. But that happens. I don't kill them for that. I think that they're a pretty smart front office. They have such a loaded roster. You don't get that by accident.
You're right, but I also think that Aiyuk won this because he did this apparently on his own timeline, right? Like, if you believe Adam Schefter tweeted yesterday, this has been the same deal that's basically been on the table for him since August 10th, and he was the one who decided to drag this thing out. He had the leverage. He used the leverage. He wouldn't communicate with the Patriots. He wouldn't communicate, I guess, with the Cleveland Browns. So to me, he sort of had him the whole time, and I don't know if the number went up or went down, or we'll get the autopsy on this whole thing, I'm sure, at some point. But he did this on his own timeline, and he was the one who held the 49ers until finally it got just like way too contentious when he wouldn't show up for practice the last 2 days, right?
Well, how does that make him a winner? Like, what if he gets hurt?
He still got the money. So he's definitely the winner if he gets hurt. But he's the winner if he gets hurt even more than, I hate to say that, but because he held out and he got the money, he wasn't playing on the 1-year deal. He didn't acquiesce. He doesn't have to miss a game. He doesn't get docked a game check. To me, I think he got everything.
Yeah, but he didn't. Well, if he gets hurt, like you're saying, he got paid. Like, I don't think that's ideal for Brandon Aiyuk to sign this big deal and sort of pull his hamstring in week 2.
But better for him to have $78 million in the bank than $14 if you're going to get hurt.
But he was going to get that anyway, right? At some point. I mean, certainly, maybe he got $2 million more per year than he wanted. To me, like, I'm not sure why if that report is true that he had the same offer on the table on August 10th.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why. Does he hate practice that much? I'm not quite sure why he didn't just take it then. Maybe he was holding out to see if he could get a better deal, right?
Yeah, I maybe he still was holding out hope that he might get traded. I don't know, but I feel like my first reaction to this, my gut reaction was Aiyuk got what he wanted. He got what he wanted, and the 49ers, I think they would have traded him if they could have. And
but
so that's why I think Aiyuk is the winner.
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If that's true, then, like, are you down on the Niners because they lost this deal, or are you up because they signed? Because I got to tell you, I'm redoing my picks.
You're in a good way or a bad way?
In a good way. Like, I'm back on the Niners. I was starting to get worried about the Seahawks and the Rams. I'm fully back. Like, so, you might say they didn't get exactly, maybe they wanted to trade him. But all that being said, like, this is pretty, if you're a Niners fan, you're stoked, right?
I'd love to hear from Niners fans, 855-212-4227, because they've lived this. We're on in the Bay Area. We're on in Northern California. I'd love to know how they feel about how all this went, because even the insiders will tell you this one was totally weird. I mean, even, like, beyond other weirdness that we've seen. I mean, they didn't sign Nick Bosa last year until after Labor Day, and we're saying this one is weird, you know?
No, but is it? That's what I'm saying. It's not weird. This was just a normal negotiation. This is CeeDee Lamb. Why? There's nothing weird about this. Now I realize next summer, you realize there's going to be 4 wide receivers doing the same exact thing, right? This is not. I don't think there's anything here. I think this was always going to happen this way, and we just wasted a lot of time. I don't think Aiyuk was ever going anywhere. I really don't.
But Pearl, this is not CeeDee Lamb. This is not Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Why did CeeDee Lamb sign 2 days ago? What's the difference?
No, how many trade rumors were there about CeeDee Lamb? How many teams were linked to CeeDee Lamb? 0. Absolutely none. How many were linked to Amon-Ra St. Brown? None. How many were linked to DJ Moore? We didn't even know he was signing an extension, and all of a sudden he signed one.
DJ Moore and Amon-Ra St. Brown signed early, so that's not different. But come week 3, what's the difference? Brandon Aiyuk's a 49er and CeeDee Lamb's a Cowboy. So at the end of the day, what does any of this mean anything? Like, why?
Well,
it's not going to have any lingering effect at all, is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't know. First of all, let's let the season play out. But the other part is, if you're saying this is just like any other negotiation, that's not right. That's not true.
I disagree with you. I really think this was just like your normal negotiation. I think like they were basically, both sides were negotiating where the Niners are like, okay, we think you're worth about 28. And he's like, I want 32. And they landed at 30. I do think like this was kind of probably predetermined by, who's his agent, Ryan Williams at Athletes First. I think in July, they probably knew how this was going to go down. I think both sides kind of, it felt like they were dancing a lot, Maggie, but I understand there were trade rumors out there. I never really saw that happening. I don't know why. I know Diana Rossini said there was a very specific offer. It just felt like Aiyuk was going to be a Niner because he wanted to be there, and the team wasn't going to get a first-round pick for him. So what else could have happened?
Pearl, he was linked to like 5 different teams. He brought his old college quarterback into this with Jaden Daniels. This was not your average. This has also not been like a lot of the other 49er negotiations. Unlike maybe Deebo Samuel, there was a hold in. He eventually got paid.
Deebo is a monster. He was all over the place.
But Pearl, think about it. Aiyuk got linked to the Jacksonville Jaguars, got linked to the Steelers, got linked to the Browns, got linked to the Patriots, got linked to the Washington Commanders. Was there a team he wasn't linked to? I mean, they were fully willing to dangle this dude out there, and I do think this is different. Now, a different question that you just had that I think is worth exploring here is what this does to the 49ers going forward in terms of, like, we're not going to get deep into, like, the contracts and cap and all that stuff, but they have a lot of expensive players. That's the bottom line. That's what you have to know. This does feel like a last ride, if you will, with this iteration of the 49ers. With the Kittle, Deebo, Christian McCaffrey, Aiyuk, Purdy, Trent Williams, like, there will be changes that have to be made down the road unless somehow the 49ers are, like, the smartest team on earth. And some of those changes they actually might be courting. This kind of feels a little bit like the urgency with this group who has gotten so close, who's played in 2 Super Bowls with a lot of the guys. This feels like there is now something a little bit more on this season than even a couple of days ago.
Well, I don't totally get that. They just signed their number 1 receiver to a long-term deal, so that means that the window gets wider, right?
Well, it's going to be at the expense of other people, right? If we can kind of extrapolate this down the road, signing Aiyuk, well, that could be a great position for the 49ers to be in. This does probably mean that Deebo is in his last season. This could mean that Kittle's in his last season. Like, you're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul at some point.
Right. I mean, they're the oldest team in the NFL, so a lot of that has to do with age, too. Deebo and Kittle, I mean, you watch that documentary on Netflix, they are held together by crazy glue. I'm not sure that's a contract situation as much as they are getting old and brittle situation, right? So is that the same thing? Is it a little different?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This might be a welcome change for the 49ers, but that doesn't change what's on the table this season, which feels like, all right, with this group, this is the last chance.
Yeah, I feel like they actually this offseason, by extending McCaffrey and extending Aiyuk, and they're going to pay Purdy, and they drafted a bunch of receivers, and they got linemen. I feel like they've actually the opposite, and I do think they're a very smart team. I think they're going to extend this window. It might. I don't get the Rams all-in vibe where they're going all in 1 year. I think that they're starting to transform themselves to get a little younger, and this Aiyuk deal is probably a good thing long-term in that sense. So I'm not really worried about that all-in vibe. I think actually this is not the end of the window for them. I understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. You might not have this version exactly, but, man, I got to tell you, they have Aiyuk for at least 3 years on this deal. So are they going away?
EJ, can we throw a poll up about the 49ers for the fans? Are you relieved? Are you still feeling a little bitter? Do you feel a little like you got worked? I mean, I don't know how the fans are feeling today. I would say sense of relief would be where my head would be at.
I think Niners fans are pretty happy today. They did not want to come in without Aiyuk. Anyway, the other issue, too, is like we talk a lot about these. Niners have like a bunch of weapons. Their defense was vulnerable last year. I'm very curious. Everybody's putting the eye on the offensive players, Maggie. Like, they have a brand new defensive coordinator. We know nothing about this guy.
You know, it's funny because we talk about these holdouts and will it actually matter week 3, that Aiyuk wasn't at training camp. Well, Nick Bosa said last year he felt like he did kind of get off to a bit of a slow start because he wasn't at training camp. So he's admitted that. I think guys they want to be smart, right? It's a super long season and you don't want to just go firing out of the gates and then, pull a hamstring and now you're week to week for the next month,
I did see, tell me what you think of this, Maggie. And I know this is my energy too. A bunch of websites says our national nightmare is over. Brandon Aiyuk is finally signed. I do think this is a summer. There might be a turning point where people are going to stop doing the TikTok of negotiations because of social media. I think the players are using the public to negotiate some of these deals, and teams are doing the same thing right back. Like the Niners after this deal immediately have Adam Schefter tweet something negative about him, Brandon Aiyuk, then Brandon Aiyuk's agent. Like, this is becoming way too public. I wonder if are we just getting suckered into these negotiations? Are we part of the process now? Because I feel like the players and the teams want everybody to get in and weigh in and put public pressure on the player. And it all is a little crazy to me.
Well, this is why we need to do more segments like Pete's Mount Rushmore of SNL castmates than Brandon Aiyuk TikTok of, who is he calling out today? Yeah, by the way, what's been the response to this is Pete's parting gift, our parting gift to Pete. We had him do his Mount Rushmore of SNL cast members. He wanted to do this. It's just his Mount Rushmore. None of us are weighing in on ours. Pete, have you gotten the response?
A lot of people don't like it.
Uh-oh.
What part of it?
Probably the Dana Carvey part.
I don't get that. I think people are not remembering, because Carvey didn't really do a lot after SNL. I think people are forgetting what a linchpin he was in that show for almost a decade. I'm with Pete on this one. Yeah,
again, I think SNL, you like the cast that was right around your age when you were watching SNL. So I think that's a big part of it too, right? Like, obviously, Maggie, you missed Dan Aykroyd. I did too. I mean, I'm not sure. It seems pretty awesome from the clips. Don't you think that's probably the most important factor in who you choose?
Maybe, but I thought SNL always did a great job of doing like 20th anniversary and 30th anniversary. I feel very familiar with a lot of Dan Aykroyd doing the Bassamatic 76, doing the weird toy salesman where he would sell all those unsafe toys like a bag of glass and medical waste to kids. I feel like I'm familiar with what Dan Aykroyd was doing on SNL.
Yeah, you know what? I'm starting to think about it. I think I'm tempted to put Kate McKinnon on mine, too. Nobody made me laugh harder than her. And Kristen Wiig. The two of them. And, oh, man, there's a lot of I'm a huge Bill Hader fan. I know he can't quite make the list, but I feel like he should be acknowledged. There's just so many. We're forgetting. I feel like we're kind of shortchanging the last 20 years, Pete. Do you think you're a little bit stuck in a certain time period? There's still shows going on.
No, that time period was funnier. Sorry.
Andy Samberg, he was funny.
That time period was funnier.
You can't go with Samberg over Sandler.
But I don't know. I really think there's an age thing here too. Like you were peak watching Saturday Night Live in the 90s when Phil Hartman was dominating.
Right, and Phil Hartman is better than all of them.
Yeah, but if you're a young person who stays up and watches that,
that's fine. That you look, they can have their own list. I have mine. Mine is these four, and that's what I watched mostly. I have total respect for the people that started the whole SNL. I have so much. I love watching them too, but also I have respect for the people that have come after the list I created. So everyone has their own taste.
I love it. I just want to get you mad one more time before you leave. Final day, People-Lati. But we also have a lot of football to talk about. Who won, the Niners or Aiyuk? Or if you're a Niners fan, are you feeling happier today? Give us a call, 855-212-4227. See you on the phone lines. We'll dive more into the future of the San Francisco 49ers next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
The artist formerly known as Mraz. I'm making this video from my backyard where I'm currently cleaning up dog crap. Which is ironic because that's what you fed me every morning at about 5 a.m. when I asked you to do a little extra work. I'm just kidding, buddy. Calm down. I want to wish you the best of luck in your next venture producing overnights. You're going to absolutely crush it. And if you don't, well, you'll find something else to do in a year. The morning listeners are going to miss you. And the positive is, maybe, just maybe, you'll now make it to a Super Bowl before your beloved Jets. Take care, buddy. I have nothing but love for you. We're going to miss you in the morning.
Bellotti loves Wendy's bacon treats. He dances with joy every time he eats. Crispy strips of happiness, that's no lie. Peter's and bacon, heaven reaching for the sky. Wendy's bacon makes Peter so glad. One bite, he's the happiest lad. Crispy, crunchy bacon delight. Peter's in bliss, morning, noon, and night. He orders a stack, can't get enough. Wendy's bacon is his favorite stuff. Each crunchy bite brings a smile so wide. Peter's pure joy he can't hide. Wendy's bacon makes Peter so glad. One bite, he's the happiest lad. Crispy, crunchy bacon delight. Peter's in bliss, morning, noon, and night.
People-Lati's got something to say. Infinity's mine. People-Lati's got something to say. Infinity's mine. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie, Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses Marr. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out, boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. Andrew Bogush, Lost in the fog of golf. Bogus can't see his way. People are his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory, it's all too much. Andrew Bogusch needs a break. Bogusch has had enough of Pete. Freedom from the
Break ends in 5 seconds.
That's what Bogusch needs. People he won't leave alone. His voice keeps ringing in his headphones like a drone. Oh, hear the Bogusch just
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. College football is back. Stayed up late. I forgot how difficult this can be with the early morning show, but it was a lot of fun. Maggie, how stoked are we?
This is great, and my just one hope is, is there any way that we can maybe just have Deion take even just a quarter step back so we can just all focus on Shedeur and Travis Hunter and how great and cool this connection could be? And I realize I'm on a fool's errand here because Deion will always get the headlines, but it's enough to just watch these two go out and make magic. Mike Golic Jr. is here with us, one of our absolute favorites. Of course, Gojo and Golic does this amazing podcast for DraftKings Network and show for DraftKings Network with his dad. Gojo, can I get Deion just a half a step back? Just a half.
I think when you sign up for the Deion Sanders experience, if you're Colorado and if you're college football in general, you are going to get the Deion Sanders experience. So I don't think we have any shot of that, but thankfully, like you said, the star of the guys actually playing on the field seems like it's able to shine no matter what because, man, Travis and Shedeur were electric last night.
Yeah, but Mike, we had them throw for 500 yards week 1 against TCU last year. I jumped on the bandwagon. A lot of us did. Is there any reason to wonder if what they did last night is not going to last because it was a lesser opponent?
Oh, yeah, listen, I still think, and I think we have the benefit of last year now of understanding that we don't need to go full-on mania with this and understand, hey, these are two incredible players in the midst of what is still a flawed but improved football team. And you saw a lot of the week 1 mistakes we're going to see elsewhere in the sport. Clock management issues with guys being out on the field at the wrong time, and certainly the lines of scrimmage that are improved personnel-wise but are still groups coming together at positions where you need continuity. You saw the offensive line struggle to pick up games and stunts up front, struggle with some of the pressures that North Dakota State threw at them, the way that others are going to, but for Colorado specifically, when you try and bring all these new guys in at once and get it going, this is going to be a process at the beginning of the season, and what that's going to require is, thankfully, what they have, a quarterback at Shedeur Sanders who is content to sit back in the pocket, brave enough to stand in and take hits, and still deliver incredibly impactful throws.
Mike Golic Jr. is joining us. I just want to point out, because, we always are self-scouting around here on the Maggie and Perloff show, that in our chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, GG is asking, how does a show that does a segment called The Daily Deion now complain that there's too much Deion? Fair. We do a segment called The Daily Deion. we'll own it. We got to get called out and called to the mat. So Mike Golic Jr. is here. We can talk about Colorado all day, but you are a Notre Dame alum. We are on in South Bend. This is an incredibly important year for Notre Dame. Very, very fun. And you start the season at Texas A&M. My first question for you about this matchup that's going to happen on Saturdays. Riley Leonard is facing his former coach in Mike Elko, right? Riley Leonard coming over from Duke to Notre Dame. Elko now the head coach at A&M. To me, that seems to favor the coach to be able to maybe confuse the quarterback. You are the former player here, an offensive lineman. How do you think that relationship is going to play out on the field this weekend?
I would agree that I think it favors the coach just because you're thinking about someone greater institutional knowledge, been around and doing this a lot longer. This isn't a 10-year NFL veteran who's seen so many snaps and all of a sudden can go out there and use that bevy of knowledge. Now, Riley did also see Mike Elko's defense every day in practice while he was at Duke coming up for the last couple of seasons. And so I won't act like he's walking into this completely with an arm tied behind his back. But, Mike Elko is, I think, a really good football coach in college football and someone who is, I think, going to do very well at Texas A&M sooner rather than later. So it's absolutely a huge part of this undercurrent. But the advantage that Riley Leonard has is he's still an incredibly gifted athlete, and you can scheme up all you want for a guy that, especially like Riley, can hurt you with his athleticism in the open field. You can scheme it up as much as you want, but at the end of the day, a playmaker like that can still get over on you even in the best of circumstances.
You know, Mike, I looked at the series history with Notre Dame, Texas A&M, to see if you ever went down to Texas A&M because it's so loud there. They haven't played since 2001. I don't think they were on your radar as a player at Notre Dame. But have you ever been to that stadium? Do you think the noise and the atmosphere and the opening stuff, is that going to affect Notre Dame?
Listen, it absolutely affects your order of operation. Now, I went down to Kyle Field for actually Jimbo Fisher's last game last season, covering the game for Learfield, and it is an incredibly raucous, intimidating environment. There's no doubt. And for Notre Dame, that's trotting out a bunch of young players, freshmen and sophomores on their offensive line specifically. The challenge is twofold. That's one, hey, managing emotions. For some of these guys, this is going to be their first big-time college football game in an atmosphere like this. And you want to drink it in. You don't want to shy away from the moment. Marcus Freeman, their head coach, has told these guys to embrace this in a lot of different points along the way. But the other part, and I think about as an offensive lineman always, is communication. And in an environment like that, we think all now in the EA College Football 25 video game where you've got stadium pulse, that's real in the sense that when you're trying to just do something as simple as communicate the snap count, like, hey, we're going to go on one here and get that communicated. It's got to be the quarterback up at the line of scrimmage with everybody. It's got to be, hey, me as the center, I'm looking at the guard. He's looking at the tackle and telling him. And then, oh, by the way, now there's 12 seconds left in the play clock, and Nick Scorton's on the edge getting ready to tear off like a bat out of hell, and now you've got to block him. So that's the real challenge, I think, and that's why Marcus Freeman, you've heard, they're pumping in stadium noise like crazy in South Bend, because you've got to get the communication down for that more than anything.
One thing to keep an eye on, and this has been a stat that's been recited a few times this week, which is the Notre Dame offensive line has a combined 6 starts between all the all the young men along that offensive line. This one's really getting thrown into the deep end. Mike Golic Jr. is joining us, DraftKings Network, Gojo and Golic. We absolutely love the show. The 12-team playoff and how this impacts Notre Dame in more of a global way, Mike, because you want to schedule these fun, beginning of the season contests, but without an affiliation, being independent, and you lose 2 games. Is it a given that Notre Dame does get into the college football playoff, and do they retain their status as a top 10 team, which would, kind of assure that you would get into the college football playoff? How do you feel about that, and how does that impact the pressure on this opener?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on this opener. Honestly, for Notre Dame, more in the other sense, because Texas A&M is one of the few teams that is a win that I think is going to register enough with the committee to get them in that spot. Usually when people have the Notre Dame, you should join a conference conversation, part of it, and I think the part that people get most incorrectly, is they say you'll actually place someone. If you look up almost every year, Notre Dame is in the top 25, usually even top 10 or 15 of strength of schedule. They do a tremendous job between having teams like USC consistently on the schedule. They've played Michigan and a lot of the Big Ten teams over the years, and now have the partnership with the ACC where they're playing 5 of those games. So they get Clemson at times. They get Florida State at home this year. And so this season, the way the schedule shook out, there are limited opportunities against more quality wins to go out there and show who you are as a team. And so that's why I think the margin for error is a little bit smaller for Notre Dame this year than it might be some years in the future where, hey, if you're a 2-loss Notre Dame team, but you've got 2 losses against a juggernaut schedule,
right,
and they've been close, and you've still got some of those quality wins elsewhere that Notre Dame just has fewer opportunities for, I think they could still be in a good spot in the playoff in this format.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be cynical, Mike, but where are these losses? This schedule, it feels like the Red Sea is parted after we saw Florida State lose. You have to admit, this is unusually easy for Notre Dame. At least that's what it looks like on paper.
It does, and at the same time, you don't want to discount a team like Louisville that beat Notre Dame last year. Jeff Brown's an outstanding coach there. They've got a veteran roster. Georgia Tech, what we just saw in the opener against Florida State, who's on Notre Dame's schedule, that's not going to be an easy game by any stretch. Brent Key's got an incredibly well-coached and well-run program down there, and so there are going to be challenges along the way. And as Maggie said, you've got an offensive line that's the question mark for the first time in a long time, at a school where offensive line is what we do. I mean, since I was there, you look at the decade run of first-round draft picks, guys they put into the pros, an offensive line back in 2017, I believe, that won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in college football. That's been what this program has prided itself on. And now you walk into the season and go, all right, the defense is veteran-laden and incredibly talented, especially in the secondary with Benjamin Morrison. You look at the offense. Hey, you portal in a bunch of wide receivers, Chris Mitchell, Bo Collins, all these great players, and you've got a quarterback in Riley Leonard next to a deep backfield. The one thing you ask yourself is, can this group up front get up to speed and get that experience on the job fast enough to make Notre Dame not just a team in playoff contention, but a team that could actually win games come December and January?
Gojo, last one from me. Mike Golic Jr. joining us. You're doing a show for DraftKings Network. I'm on DraftKings right now. Spread is 3, so Texas A&M 3-point favorite, but that's obviously just the home field. And then the over-under 46 came down from 46.5. Curious how you see this one playing out in terms of points scored. Is that going under?
I would think so, just because, again, factor in for Notre Dame, offensive line, skill parts all getting to know each other. Riley Leonard's been around all summer, but remember, he was banged up during a lot of the spring football. They didn't get the reps there, and so I think it's going to take a little while. Mike Denbrock, new voice in that room as the offensive coordinator. And on the other side, it's all new for Texas A&M. Connor Wegman was hurt most of last year. One of their premier weapons and their running back not going to be here for this game. So I think all of that combined with the defensive talent on both sides of the field for either of these teams makes for a low-scoring effort and a pretty close margin.
Mike, real quick, did you make your national title pick yet?
Yeah, I'm one of the really brave people that picked Georgia to go out there and win the thing again. So fascinated to see them start against Clemson. Big spread in that one, 13.5. I think Georgia covers, but I want to see the offense and exactly what this looks like post-Brock Bowers against the Clemson defense. Say what you want about Dabo in the portal. That defense is going to rip again this year. Peter Woods and those guys up front are built to hunt.
What about your Heisman, Coach?
Heisman, I probably would be chalky there. After last night, it's hard to get Travis Hunter out of my head. Like, let's put it this way. If Travis Hunter stays healthy for the entire year, he's going to win the award. But that's the big question when you play as many snaps as he does and what we saw happen last year. So I would say if he stays healthy, it's probably his. My pick before the year would have been Dylan Gabriel. I'm super high on Oregon and what Dan Lanning's got there. I like Will Stein and his ability to meet his quarterback where they are and really tailor an offense to a guy that might be more of a consistent deep ball passer than his counterpart, Bo Nix. And there's going to have opportunities. You play in the new Big Ten. You got Ohio State coming to town in the middle of the year. I think he's going to have plenty of chances to go out and win the thing.
Mike Golic Jr., the absolute best, someone up early, hitting the ground running for us today, breaking down Notre Dame. Good luck to your Irish this weekend against Texas A&M. Gojo, you can listen and watch Gojo and Golic on DraftKings. It's a great show. We love it. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks,
you
bud.
too.
Oh, man.
I'm excited.
Going Georgia. That's a brave pick. No, I love the way he said that. All right. Andrew Bogus is here. A few headlines. Maybe anything else happening out there besides college football?
No. College football we'll start with. Maybe if the game was decided by writers in Hartford, Connecticut, the ending would have been different, but college football ain't wrestling. It's real, so North Dakota State denied a last-second miracle at Colorado.
Miller out of the shotgun. 5 seconds to go. He gets it off. It's short of the end zone. They wrestle for it, but time has expired, and the Buffaloes will win it. They close the deal. It came down to the final play of the game.
That's Mark Jones on ESPN.
Stanford, Connecticut, too.
Oh, my fault. Dion and company surviving the FCS power North Dakota State 31-26 in Boulder. Shedeur Sanders threw 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to Travis Hunter, but it was a late, not needed to be thrown in completion from Shedeur that stopped the clock and gave the Bison that last chance to steal the W. Number 24, NC State needed to score 21 fourth-quarter points to survive Western Carolina 38-21. North Carolina got a 19-17 win at Minnesota, but QB Max Johnson carted off the field in the third quarter with a hip injury, went to a local hospital for evaluation. Max, a Texas A&M transfer, and the son of former NFL QB Brad Johnson. From the NFL, 11 Maggie haters, also known as anonymous NFL players, recently voted Josh Allen the most overrated QB in the game.
I'm not mad that 11 players not on my team don't like me, right? So that's number one. I actually think that's a term of endearment when other players don't like me, that means I'm doing something the right way. I am mad at, however, I'm never, ever invited to participate in these anonymous surveys. So that's where I find this frustrating. I want to be a part of these surveys, too, and give my input as well.
So somebody get Alan's phone number or DMs, like get him hooked up with these surveys. He said that to our friend Adam Shine over on Mad Dog Radio on Sirius XM.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the overrated part, I don't get it because it's not like he's winning MVPs and falling short in the playoffs. I think that's what can lead sometimes to the overrated stuff. Like, he has just as many commercials as anyone else. I don't think he's more in our faces than any other good quarterback. Like, forgive me if I've got my Buffalo Bills colored glasses on here, but how is he overrated? He's the whole team.
I don't know. I feel like if I'm an anonymous player looking at that survey, you can't go Mahomes. You're probably not going to go Lamar Jackson. It feels like it's just like you're looking at this piece of paper, like Josh Allen, he's number 2 on the list. He hasn't won anything. Why not him?
And wasn't it like 11 votes for him and 10 for like 2 other guys?
Who are the, yeah, who else?
Tua and somebody else. So like it's kind of like it was almost like we got to put somebody's name down.
You know, the guys who are making $200 million who haven't done anything yet, like Tua, that's a very logical answer.
Yeah, how about somebody who hasn't won a playoff game? I mean, listen, Josh Allen has not completed the mission yet, but at least he's been to the AFC Championship game. You know, he's got on the doorstep. I'm not trying to give out, participation trophies here, but he's won in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's because if you look at any quarterback rankings, he's often number 2 behind Patrick Mahomes. So I think that's where some people say, well, maybe he doesn't deserve that because he hasn't won.
Well, not according to the players. I mean, the players didn't have him that high. So
but that player poll is stupid. I mean, the players are half voting. Like, the whole thing never makes any sense. Mahomes was 4 on that list. So what are we doing here? I think generally, though, if you look at like Mike Sando's quarterback tiers, Josh Allen's often 2 or 3. So I understand he's so highly rated, Maggie. Don't you think that's where that overrated thing came from?
Yeah, because he hasn't been to the Super Bowl yet. I get it, but neither has Lamar. I mean, Lamar's won 2 MVPs and hasn't done much in the playoffs. And what are we doing?
But
he's not making any of these lists.
But you were surprised that he was tier 2 in Mike Sando's the athletic writer. He's usually ranked below Josh Allen. If you look at 50 quarterback rankings in the media, I think Josh Allen gets higher. But that's why he's the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, Maggie Greg.
Maybe I can balance out the Allen disrespect with this. Jessica Pagula, whose parents own the Bills, among the winners at the U.S. Open yesterday, which allowed her to say this on the court on ESPN.
I get more Bills fans here. I feel like there's more here than Jets fans. I don't know. That might get mixed reviews. I think I heard a couple Jets fans there. It's really fun getting the support. I mean, I know we're a New York State's team, everyone, when I say I'm from New York, people are like, oh, New York City. I'm like, no, I'm from Buffalo. It's a much different, way further away. But thanks, everyone, for coming out and supporting, especially those Bills fans hiding out.
Yeah, I don't think she got the crowd reaction that she wanted, Maggie, when she made that statement.
Yeah, I don't know how many people from Buffalo are making the trip down to Flushing, Queens to go to the U.S. Open, but for the people at Athlete Logos or Fanatics or all these people who make T-shirts, I just want a T-shirt that has her picture on it or something and just says, no, I'm from Buffalo. That's what I want. Make me that T-shirt. I'm not even from Buffalo. I'm from Binghamton. You guys know that. But I want the people ask if I'm from New York. No. I'm from Buffalo. I want that in my closet to hang up with all my other Bill shirts.
Real smart by her to start bashing Jet fans even before she's eliminated.
Can I just say, I personally consider it a great honor and a thrill to be able to have some of my ridiculous state tax dollars go to the Buffalo Bills Stadium. That's really serving my community.
Ridiculous.
My dumb governor is from Buffalo. Whatever. Sorry. I hate the fact that Buffalo is I'm literally building your dumb stadium, Maggie, and I hate that fact.
Well, it should have a dumb roof on the top. Also, the funniest part about this is when Perloff and I basically pinky swore a long time ago we are not going to talk about politics on the show, except whenever we bring up the Buffalo Stadium and Perloff all of a sudden turns into CNN.
Well, I hate that. First of all, part of the reason I hate it is because you've been rightly demanding they put a dome so Josh Allen can cook, and they're not even doing that. So we're paying for basically will you guys admit the worst stadium in America is right near your home in New Jersey? MetLife Stadium, for the biggest city in the country to build the most generic, awful stadium in the world. Like, what was that? Now they're building that same thing in Buffalo. I'm sorry. That's the only issue that I will
They
get fired
should
up
have
about.
moved to Toronto when they had the chance.
No. Buffalo's great, but why? I've seen renderings of the stadium. It's basically Rich Stadium Part 2. Like, do something fancy. Do you guys? Am I the only one here who hates MetLife? MetLife is terrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
it's the air conditioner, as they call it.
Does anyone like MetLife?
No,
that's your most unanimous opinion you've ever had.
Yeah.
There's
That's
no
not even
fans of that
political.
place.
Right. But, okay, so we got to get this printed up for Maggie. No, I'm from Buffalo. I love it.
I'm from the greater Binghamton area.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Mr. Bogus. Coming up next, there's another disgruntled wide receiver. I mean, how many of these guys are there? That's next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He made a prediction, Peter Bellotti. He made a prediction, said that he gonna win. Celtics got no conviction, but now he's hiding, running away. Won't own up to his words, can't face the dismay. He thought Miami would rise like the sun in the sky, but now he's got excuses, got no alibi. He thought that he'd had it, it was a sure bet, but they couldn't handle Boston, not just yet. Peter Bellotti, where you at now? You made a bold choice, but where's your wow? Can't stand the heat in the kitchen, your predictions cold. You're playing hide and seek, leaving us in the fold. You're playing hide and seek, leaving us in the fold. Peter Bellotti, he made a prediction. Roasting Tom Brady, we took it too far. But Maggie don't care, she's a superstar. Said the kids need to learn to laugh at the pain, so we'll keep on joking, no need to explain. We may have crossed the line, but who's to say? Maggie's teaching her children to handle it her way. Peter Bellotti's got a thing for the pop scene queen. Dua Lipa on his mind, she reigns supreme. Every morning starts with don't start now. He's dancing in the kitchen, taking a bow. Oh, Peter Bellotti loves Dua, what can he do? Her beats in his heart through and through. From new rules to levitating, Peter Bellotti's love for Dua never abating. He's got posters on the wall, her vinyl spin, every lyric memorized, each little grin. At every party he's her #1 fan, talking about her tours and her master plan. When the One Kiss song plays, Peter Bellotti's on his feet, singing every word oh so sweet. He dreams of a concert, front row seat, cheering for Dua, that would be neat. Oh, Peter Bellotti loves Dua, what can he do? Her beats in his heart through and through. From physical to cold heart, in Peter Bellotti's life, Dua's a work of art.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. All right. Big day out in California. The 49ers signed Brandon Aiyuk. Maggie, I think it's a day to celebrate for the Niners fans. You think that maybe they got played a little bit here by Brandon Aiyuk?
Well, I mean, can both be true? Can you be celebrating because you get one of your big weapons back? But also, can I think that Brandon Aiyuk won this negotiation ultimately? You know, I think he ended up getting what he wanted, when he wanted it, and got to stay. You know, That's the other thing. Like, if the 49ers, we saw so many teams linked to Brandon Aiyuk, and insiders like Diana Rossini have, like, specific details that they tried to trade for Courtland Sutton. The 49ers tried to trade a third-round pick to the Broncos for Courtland Sutton. If that trade had gone through, then the 49ers were going to send Aiyuk to the Steelers. But the part of this was Aiyuk wouldn't play ball with any of these trades. He really wanted his cake and eat it too. He wanted to get paid, and he wanted to stay with the 49ers, and ultimately he got that. I think the 49ers would have traded him if they could have.
All right, let's go to Gary in California. Gary, I'm not sure if you're a Niners fan, but is this a good day for the 49ers?
Well, it's a little of both, because if you go back to and I am a Niner fan, and our only real problem is number 15 in Kansas City. But anyway, going back to the other holdouts with Debo and Bosa, they both admitted that not signing on time or having a short camp affected their play. So that's what I expect from Aiyuk. I expect soft tissue injuries, probably the same thing with Trent Williams. That's the big concern there. And also the other concern for Niner fans is that revamped defense. So I'm with Maggie. I think Aiyuk won this deal. It remains to be seen, what the season's going to hold for him. And obviously the Niners are contenders, but I think it's going to be a little more difficult for them.
All right, let's go to George.
I agree, by the way. This is going to be the hardest thing they've ever done. With this amount of scar tissue, with losing to Mahomes, the overtime, this will be the hardest thing to do.
You know, except for when the last time they lost to Mahomes in 2019 and had all the same scar tissue and then came out totally flat the next year. Why
Double the scar tissue, Pearl. Double the scar tissue.
No, it's the same thing. They're going to be doing this for the next 5 years. Kyle Shanahan's going to be blowing Super Bowls. All right.
Oh, my God.
This does, I'm telling you, they're not going anywhere. Let's go to George in L.A. George, I know you're a Rams fan. Is this a good day or a bad day that Brandon Aiyuk is signed with the 49ers?
I think it's a good day for him. Not so much for the 49ers because he kind of got his way, and it's the way it is in football sometimes, the way that it goes. But my opinion is the Rams and the 49ers are almost even now. It's a telling sign when Ernest Jones leaves and McVay doesn't seem concerned at all. Fisk and Verse must be really impressing him, the two young rookies. And I think the 49ers are still a very formidable team, but I think the Rams are almost on their level now.
Oh, man. What about, by the way, George, so are you picking them to win the division? What about the Seahawks, too, are right there?
Yeah, Seahawks are improved, too. They're impressive also with the new young coach, McDonald. But I think the Rams are – McVay is very confident for some reason this year, and it's obvious in his press conferences. So I think the Rams will win the division. I think the 49ers will be a playoff team.
All right, thank you, George. What do you think, Maggie? This division is all of a sudden very, very interesting.
I love it because I'm also someone who's starting to get real high on Seattle. Starting to believe a little bit in the Seahawks being a playoff team. We're going to make our predictions and our final, get them down on paper next week right before the season kicks off. But my whole thing about the Rams, Stafford. The health of Stafford to me is just kind of everything. And he's one of the toughest dudes in the entire league. But that's where my big concern is. I don't have any faith in Garoppolo anymore. Like, if Stafford goes down, I don't know how Sean McVay would keep this together.
I'm a little concerned, too, about Aaron Donald not being there, obviously. I mean, that's not rocket science. I think the Rams and the Seahawks are both good teams, but, I mean, we've seen this movie a lot of times. Why are we counting out the Niners? He is there. I don't understand this negativity. There's 2 callers in a row, and you were saying the Niners lost. They just re-signed Brandon Aiyuk for 4 years, Maggie. Why isn't this a day to celebrate?
Well, maybe they can, but I can't celebrate yet because I just went through all this agita with this guy. You know,
that's called a negotiation. It's not agita. That's how they do it.
Well, I also think they probably wanted to trade him. So
yeah, I don't think so. I really like Cortland Sutton. I don't even know if I can't believe that report. I've watched Cortland Sutton. That is a downgrade from Brandon Aiyuk. Okay, coming up next, we haven't talked Cowboys yet. There is one of the great quotes ever from Dak Prescott. We'll break it down. That's next, the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. So there's a big show bet coming up. It's on my mind a lot. If Dak Prescott does not sign with the Dallas Cowboys before the season and then goes into free agency next year and picks another team, I lose a bet. I have to go to Waffle House, eat a lot of omelets. If he does stay in Dallas for next year, then Maggie has to eat a lot of waffles. So there's been a lot of back and forth, Maggie, recently with Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott. Felt like it's getting a little surreal. What happened yesterday, I do think this thing is getting, I wouldn't say out of control because it just seems like they're talking a lot. But I think we're reaching a new level in this sort of whatever negotiation the two sides are doing.
Yeah, so after CeeDee Lamb signed, right, I think that maybe you don't expect something's going to happen like snap of the fingers, all of a sudden, okay, here comes Dak Prescott, he's the next guy up, and he's going to get signed. But this whole will they, won't they thing has taken some weird turns, and part of the reason is because this is no longer a one-way communication. This is no longer Jerry Jones just getting to say his side of things and Dak Prescott just saying, all right, like, I'm not going to comment on it or taking the high road or what have you. Dak's kind of finding his voice every now and then and pushing back against Jerry Jones. So, Pete, if we can play a little bit of Dak Prescott here, let's hear cut 3, Dak on what it means to get a deal done or not get a deal done before the beginning of the season.
You don't need a deal done before the season.
I don't need no.
Would you like it done before the season?
I think it says a lot if it is or if it isn't. But however, doesn't really matter to me, to be honest with you.
What does it say if it isn't?
Just how people feel.
Right, like Dak's not just saying, all right, it takes time, whatever. He's basically saying, if you don't sign me by the beginning of the season, I get it. I don't know how badly you actually want me back in Dallas. And I think Dak said a couple other things this offseason, talked about life after the Dallas Cowboys and how other, players have moved on from their organizations and found a lot of success. I think Dak's kind of not just letting Jerry Jones control the narrative of what this contract negotiation is.
Gosh, he's such a cool customer. I wonder what the offer that's out there is, and I wonder what they're disagreeing on. I wonder if the Cowboys said, I'll give you $55 million, the high mark, but you have to do it for 5 years, and he wants 4 years. Like, he just sounds so confident here, Maggie, right? Like, it doesn't sound like he has really any worries about this situation. I kind of believe him just based on the way he's presenting himself.
This is a confidence of a man who knows he's got options.
And a ton of money in the bank, too. Don't forget that.
Too. Yeah, this is the second bite at the apple. So maybe you have a little bit more empowered the second time around. But the other part, too, is, you have a guy going into a contract year. Normally, we think the advantage would really go to the team because the player doesn't want to get hurt and you don't want to put anything in jeopardy of how you can earn in the future. But I think what Dak has shown us in the past and what the NFL has shown us is that it doesn't matter if he gets hurt. I don't want him to. I'm not wishing that. But Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles tear at 35 years old and just got $100 million. Yeah. So it's like, in this day and age.
Well, I mean, that Achilles tear probably cost him about $70 million, though.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding. He got 4-year 180. Probably would have gotten 4-year 250 if he was totally healthy because it's Kirk Cousins. He sets the price. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
But Dak, obviously, the last time he signed with Dallas, he was coming off that really devastating right leg injury, which still haunts him to this day. I want truth serum, Maggie. I want truth serum on both sides. Like, what is really going on here? Because I wonder, I'll bet you he's a tough cookie in negotiations. It doesn't sound like he has anything to lose. He's like, I'm not taking a dime less to stay here. Isn't that the message you're getting?
Yeah, I am. And I don't know why he would. You know, he's won negotiations against the Cowboys before. He's got leverage. And can we hear?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll just tell you, he would because Tom Brady did, because they got to sign other players around him. So there are reasons to take less. That's just a reality.
Can we also hear, Pete, Dak Prescott on how he manages Jerry Jones constantly bringing this contract, having this contract be news, and how he navigates Jerry with the media?
Yeah, I understand that. That's the business and the nature of this game that we play. Yeah, I mean, I stopped, honestly, listening to things that he says to the media a long time ago. So it doesn't really hold weight with me.
I mean...
Yeah, I mean,
true
listen,
that.
Yeah.
That is a good way to be.
Yeah, I mean, no lies spotted there. I think kind of we all feel that way. Because how can you trust Jerry? He says the exact opposite thing one day. In the same soundbite, Jerry could say 3 different opposite things. And I don't know how you say 3 opposite things in the same soundbite, but Jerry does it. That doesn't strike me, by the way. Isn't it funny? Like, nobody's like, I can't believe Dak just ripped his owner. Everyone's like, yeah, isn't Jerry funny? That because the reality is, like, Jerry's just been talking so much. Of course he contradicts himself.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's nothing that Jerry's going to be able to say that's going to change the status of who's got the upper hand here. And I have always believed that it is Prescott who's got the upper hand because, you know, he has the no tag clause. He's going into free agency. Whether another team is like ideal to go to, if the point is to get paid and the point is to see life after the Cowboys, or if he's not scared of that, then he's going to have plenty of opportunities and plenty of options. So I like Dak's position. As far as my Waffle House bet, I mean, I've been really trying to crunch the numbers on this one, Pearl, because if I lose this bet to you, and I have to go sit at the Waffle House for 24 hours. And for every waffle I eat, an hour gets lopped off, like the total time. I mean, what do we think here? How many of these do you think I could possibly eat?
Well, it's not just what you could, like, what do you want to eat? Because that's a lot of calories. So what if you settled, you did 8 waffles in 16 hours and just spent the day at Waffle House?
I know, but do you realize how long 16 hours is? I could fly to Taiwan. I mean, this is a long...
Do they have Waffle House there?
Can I go to a Shanghai Waffle House and just do something on the other side of the world? 16 hours, you talk like, oh, yeah, it's 16 hours. I could drive to, drive halfway to Dallas in 16 hours.
What about me with the omelets? Like, you have to worry about putting on weight with your waffles. I have to worry about raising my cholesterol to a dangerous level here.
Listen, you made your bed. I can always work off the calories. I don't know how you work off the cholesterol.
Yeah, this is, I think we both want Dak to do the right thing. Resign. For me, it's resign in Dallas. For you, it's go to the Panthers. I don't know where you're setting Dak.
Yes, the Arizona Cardinals or the Las Vegas Raiders, I think, are my 2 leaders in the clubhouse.
I got to be honest. Like, I feel a little good about that. If it's open free agency and you're looking at the Dallas Cowboys, the Cardinals, and the Raiders, I feel like you could be eating some waffles if that's the situation. I don't think those are the best choices.
One other part about this that I think is a little bit different than the last time the Dak and the Cowboys did this negotiation. Dak has not said he's going to close down the talks once the season starts, right? So he did say it would be telling if he doesn't have a contract before the season. But you know how some guys will say, hey, once week 1 happens, no more contract talk. I don't want to be distracted. I don't think Dak's saying that here. I think that they actually will continue to negotiate into the season. If I'm reading that correctly from some of the reports yesterday, I don't know if this thing ends once they play their first game against Cleveland.
Do you think that Jerry wants to see how he does against Cleveland and Myles Garrett be like, hey, you threw 3 touchdowns. Here's $60 million a year.
Yeah, that's not knee jerk or anything.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing. I tend to believe, and this is my new stance from now on till the end of time. It's just negotiation. Whatever's going to happen, we're suckers. The Cowboys have a number for Dak. Dak's just waiting to the last minute to get as much as he can, and then he's going to do something. That's why I made the bet about the Waffle House, because I really think that it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for Dak to go to another team. He's the longest tenured starter there. He's winning a bunch of games. Jerry says he loves him. So I think it gets done. What's your temperature right now, Maggie? Where are you? Are you feeling confident or less confident in the bet?
I'm kind of right where I was. I'm okay with the choice that I made about thinking that he's not going to re-sign, because you said, why would Dak want to leave? Okay, that's one part of it, but do the Cowboys want him to stay? Jerry says so, but where's the actions, And it's funny because what we're watching last night, the 49ers get the deal done with Brandon Aiyuk. They're going to get the deal done with Brock Purdy when that happens. You think if Trent Williams misses a game, I'll be shocked. They're going to figure this out. Your Philadelphia Eagles, they found a way to figure this out with an expensive quarterback, and they still pay a wide receiver, and they still pay a left tackle, and they still pay a pass rush. Other teams have figured this out, and I don't know why the Cowboys haven't been able to figure this out. I think it'd be frustrating as a Cowboy fan. You're watching two of your biggest rivals, the 49ers and the Eagles, and they find a way to fit everybody that they want. And here's the Cowboys. I don't know if they want Prescott, because I think if they could fit him and if they could make this happen, they would have already.
Yeah, but I mean, if maybe I'm missing somebody. If they ever lost a big free agent, they generally pay everybody, right? So it's not like they don't fit people. They just don't know if they want Dak. I mean, because they got CD. So then Micah Parsons is only 3 years in. So I don't think – I understand your argument. Like the Niners and the Eagles seem to be signing everybody. But the Cowboys eventually pay everyone. They just seem to do it too late and 10% higher than they should.
I know. I don't get it. They're waiting for more leaves to fall off the tree or whatever Jerry's talking about.
I just think that Packers loss, we forget. I mean, like the temperature feels different in August than it did. That was a big loss. I mean, we were all down on the future of the Cowboys after that.
Another interesting conversation taking part in our chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. One Waffle House waffle is about 4 Eggo waffles, is what Delta is telling us.
Wow.
Is that right?
I don't know, but I'm definitely willing to believe him.
The Waffle House waffles are not very thick, though. It's not like a Belgian waffle at IHOP or something. It's a little bit of a thinner waffle. That's giving me maybe a little bit of hope. But yeah, it's basically the size of a plate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, for me, too, also, you got to put the syrup and the bacon and, like, a lot of sides. And if there's grits, you can't not get grits, Maggie. Aren't you going to get side dishes as well?
No, I can't waste my time. And by the way, let's not assume I'm losing this bet, Mr. 3-egg omelet. But I can't mess around with sides. Nothing. There's only room for waffles and a little bit of syrup. I would just think it'd be so funny if Dak Prescott signed the day after we made this bet. Hey, listen, until it's March 17th, 2025, I'm going to have faith that he'll be back in Dallas. All right, Maggie, unfortunately, we have to go to a completely different topic, a very sad topic. Andrew Bogus is in. There's breaking news, I understand.
If people have been on social media or been near a TV in the last 20 minutes or so, we've unfortunately gotten confirmation on something that people have been waiting on basically since late last night, Eastern time. Columbus Blue Jackets left winger Johnny Gaudreau, one of the better players in the league. His nickname was Johnny Hockey. He and his brother passed away last night. The story that we know of right now is that they were riding their bikes near where they grew up in southern New Jersey and were hit by a car. We don't know what happened, why the car hit them. The reports out of Columbus say that the driver stayed on the scene and was not arrested last night. But Johnny and his brother died in this accident. And there are also reports that they were together in southern Jersey because their sister is getting married today. So a family has lost 2 sons, brothers. The NHL has lost a star. He has 2 young kids. His sister's wedding is ruined. I mean, it's just an awful, awful, awful thing. There are tragedies, and then there are tragedies, and this one is as bad as I can remember.
There's another part of this story that ESPN is saying. They're saying that police say that the driver is suspected of being under the influence.
Okay, so that's a new development.
Yeah, that's a new development.
Do we know what time of night it was?
It was 8:30ish Eastern time last night, and it has reminded me of waiting on the Roy Halladay story. And having the same feeling of, at some point when no one was denying that Halladay had passed away in that plane crash, you had to assume that he did, because the easy thing would have just been, Roy, it was not Roy, he's fine. And this has been floating around on social media, this Goudreau story, since late last night and all morning since we've been here. And had the same feeling of, by now, someone would have said it wasn't him, and no one was. And about 7:45, 7:50 Eastern, the Blue Jackets released a statement confirming just a horrible, horrible tragedy.
This is just unthinkable, and this is just awful. And I feel like these bike accidents, whether it's people under the influence driving or just distracted driving, or We've seen a few of these in sports over the last couple of years. I'm reminded of the Jets quarterback coach who was biking in California and got hit by a car as well.
And you're the Dartmouth football coach, Buddy Teevens was hit while riding his bike.
Yeah, we have a good friend in the media who had a near-death experience on a bike. It's very dangerous. I had a friend in college who got hit by a bike and went into a coma for a long time. It's really scary. You talked about not knowing. Remember when Kobe passed? It was Super Bowl week, and it was out there, and it's the kind of thing where you hear that headline, you can't believe it's true, right? Like, you're like, this can't happen.
Yeah.
This is so sad for them, and the circumstances would never. But the having the family wedding, and now two sons being taken, and he has a 1-year-old daughter, Johnny Hockey, 1-year-old daughter, and another 6-month-old. This is just beyond horrible. I mean, their lives to a certain extent are also over. When a tragedy like this happens in a family, this is impossible. You never come back from this fully. I just feel awful for them, horrible for them, and what was supposed to be a weekend of celebration turns to this.
Hey, Bogusch, so I know you know more about the NHL. Tell me about his level of stardom. I'm reading about it now, but it sounds like he was a very, very well-known name.
Very well-known name, very loved name around here in Jersey. Minor league high school hockey is a very big deal, and his family was a big deal in Jersey, so local to us. Most recently, hockey-wise, his move from Calgary to Columbus was a big 2 or 3 off seasons ago. Was a big hockey story. He has not been great in Columbus. Went into this offseason talking about a new training system. I need to get back to being as good a player that I used to be, and now all of that just doesn't matter anymore. It's just awful. It's just awful.
So sad. All right, we're going to read more about the tragic death and try to move on with the show, too. It's Pete Golic Jr.'s last day. We are definitely very, very sad about that and celebrating Pete's incredible contribution to the show. We're going to talk about all that and more next on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Taking time away from my vacation to talk about work. Anyway, I just wanted to say congratulations on an amazing run. Morning Drive on CBS Sports Radio /Infinity. What a run it's been, and I know that you are the single best board op engineer, audio guy, drop machine I have ever worked with. You're going to crush it with Amy. She's very lucky to have you. I know that she knows that, and she appreciates that. And you've had a hell of a run, buddy, on Morning Drive. See you, bro.
Oh, that's very nice. That is Damon Amendola, the previous host on this show, with that.
Wow. DA is way too serious in that clip, right, Bogus? What's going on? We had Sean Marash basically being Marash.
Yeah,
picking up dog poop.
Right. I think it's good balance. We're crude and bare-chested to an actual broadcaster. I think that's good.
How long were you with DA, Pete?
6 years, I think. Yeah, 6 years.
Wow.
2017.
Right, from because they were like late morning at first, and then early morning.
Yeah, it was. So I think it was like March 2017 to last year.
And those rumors that DA left because of you, those are not true.
Not true. I'm here to deny those.
I'll tell you about the real story on Tuesday.
Unconfirmed reports, all of them. Today's Pete's last day on our show, but not the last day at the network. No. He's going to be moving over to Amy Lawrence's show overnights to be the executive producer of Amy's show, and that's going to be an awesome, awesome pairing. So we're letting Pete kind of, not just hearing from people who love Pete today, but we let him get his our parting gift to Pete. He got to put his Mount Rushmore of Saturday Night Live cast members out into the universe, and it's going mixed.
Okay, I got a great tweet. On Pete's list.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people who like it, which is very disappointing to me. I thought we were going to get to rip Pete to shreds today. But Salt and Pepper tweeted, terrible list, no one from the original cast. Farley, ? Hartman was great, but he's a utility guy like Meadows, Hammond, Keenan. Utility guys don't belong on a Mount Rushmore. Also, no women. Gilda Radner, ? Tina Fey. Yeah. What about that, Pete?
Yeah, you sexist.
Misogynist.
Like I said, those four made me laugh the most, and that's my list.
So your list again, Pete, remind everyone.
Eddie Murphy, Phil Hartman, Will Ferrell, and Dana Carvey. And I think that's a solid list. Look, Phil Hartman is not a supporting player. Go watch every skit he did. And if you don't laugh on every skit, then he's not on your list. But everything he did had magic to it.
What about Farley being like the highs of Farley were probably higher than the highs of Hartman? How about that argument?
You can have that, but I think there's more of a balance with Phil Hartman.
Although I do, in retrospect, think that Hartman is the first one I would take out of your four to put somebody else in.
Really? I would think it would be Dana Carvey.
No. I get Carvey. I think Carvey is a valid person for this. I think Hartman is a little too close to that utility player than a frontline person.
I got to back up Pete here on this one. You guys are way off. Like Hartman
How did you let him leave, Maggie? I mean, he's your favorite. Get rid of me and Perloff and keep Pete.
Believe me, I made some calls. I sent a couple emails. No, Phil Hartman played Bill Clinton. He played Jesus. So we have a couple real starring lines here. Phil Donahue was one of his. He played Frankenstein. He played Ed McMahon. He played Frank Sinatra. These are not just bit parts, glue pieces here. I mean,
he played Reagan too.
Reagan, I'm partial to the Unfrozen Caveman Lawyers and all of the sillier ones, but he was doing the big impersonations on this show for a long time.
You just described a utility player to the T, by the way.
No, he's doing Bill Clinton and he's
Daryl
doing
Hammond
Ronald
did all
Reagan.
that stuff, and like nobody's putting Daryl Hammond on there.
But Daryl Hammond did just that.
Yes, he didn't have Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer, and he didn't have the other thing.
He did the commercials too. Colon Blow, that was him.
But at the end of the day, though, I think John Belushi and Chris Farley are funnier than Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman's great. I love stories, by the way. Have you ever heard Sandler and his crew, Sandler, Spade, and Farley, talk about how they used to torture Phil Hartman? Because Phil Hartman's like this comic, like stable comic genius, and these idiot 23-year-olds came in with their bizarre sketches, and Phil's like, I don't understand this, but I will do it. And they all loved him to death, and he loved them vice versa. But that crew, Phil Hartman's crew, abhorred Sandler, Farley, and Spade. They couldn't stand them, except Hartman apparently was super professional about it. Because he was different than them.
If you want to watch a good skit with Hartman and Carvey, go watch the McLaughlin Group's spinoff that they did.
This is
amazing.
You guys are caught in a certain time. I feel like you don't realize. I feel like you're not really opening your eyes to the other 20 years on either side of the Phil Hartman, Dana Carvey.
And a whole gender, Pete.
Oh. I am. Look, Tina Fey should be the next Lauren Michael, and will be the next Lauren Michael, as far as I'm concerned.
No,
she's
too
so
little,
brilliant.
too late, Pete.
Yeah,
she's so
you can't back away from this.
I look at her more as a
writer.
Overall writer. I think a lot of the magic on those years was because of Tina Fey. But I just go with the people that made me laugh. And let's start with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, with James Brown, with Buckwheat, on years where it was not the best years that he was on. He helped save that show. So there's a little nuances to my choices.
Yeah,
And
nobody's
that's-
arguing with Eddie Murphy. You're good on that.
You're safe with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy. We did earlier in the week. We did post SNL careers, and we did leave Eddie Murphy on. I think our reasoning was he was so darn good on Saturday Night Live that the bar was so high. Where Maggie went with Chris Rock, who was so low on Saturday Night Live, that his post career was interesting. I'm still getting tweets about that.
Yeah.
People were mad at us. But
all right,
well, now all that anger can go just straight to Pete in his final show with us in the mornings before he goes to overnight.
If you are angry at me, just follow me as well on X. That's all I ask. Pete the Body, just follow me, and you can be angry at me at the same time.
yeah, we'll get a little
He makes it easy.
self-promotion in before you leave. All right, Bogus, with that, let's have some quick headlines.
It was way closer than they would have liked. Colorado starting year 2 under Dion with a 31-26 home survival against FCS power North Dakota State. Those Bison led 20-14 in the second quarter. Had one last chance at the upset, but a Hail Mary came down 5 yards short of the end zone. Dion then exhaled.
They played a heck of a game. I'm proud of their staff, their head coach, their history, what they bring to the table. You can't not discount them. I think they had knocked off several Power 5 teams in their last several matchups. I'm glad we were able to come out of there with the W, although it wasn't pretty.
It did look pretty for Travis Hunter. He caught 3 of Shedeur Sanders' 4 touchdown passes last night. Utah QB Cam Rising scored last night like Pete did between marriages. 5 touchdown passes in number 12 Utah's 49-0 rout of Southern Utah. This was Rising's first game since he tore up his knee in the Rose Bowl in January 2023.
That is an inside joke that
that's a deep pull back in the well. I use that one often.
Gio and Jones one.
Is that a real thing? Did that happen?
Pete was between marriages. I don't think he scored 5 touchdowns a night.
No, that wasn't happening. It wasn't Al Bundy 4 touchdowns in a game.
Pete, you're such a bastion. You were always talking about how amazing marriage is in general. Like maybe in Utah, like what if you could have multiple wives? I feel like you've enjoyed your wives so much.
No, I'll pass on that. I'm very happy with my wife right now and my kids. So I'll take no polygamous aspirations in my future.
I always wonder about that with guys. Like, is polygamy really the dream? Because, at the end of the day, now it's like you're just living with 5 women who are all asking you to fix the dishwasher and take out the garbage and, all the awesome things that come with marriage. There's like a day-to-day life that you got to live.
Yeah, it's not Skinamax.
No, it's a nightmare, actually, if you think about it. You have 5 marriages together? Come on. With all different mindsets? That's a terrible idea.
Just so much passive-aggressive behavior, I have to imagine. I mean, listen, it's a higher calling for these people, I guess, but it's like you just have to read the room on every, middle-aged woman. As someone who's in their 40s, I wouldn't wish this on any man. How do you do this?
You have to be a maniac in order to have something like that. That's totally outrageous.
Wow.
Thank you.
I don't think it's really allowed in the religion anymore, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
It's sort of under the radar.
Cool.
I think Pete Pilati is probably the leader of the charge to not allow that because...
I will be. That's something I'll get behind.
Yeah. Well, how can we follow you again?
At P5 Lives.
How can any women out there who want to become your second wife contact you? No, I mean second, polygamy wise.
Oh, right. Not total, right.
Yeah.
It's called PD5 wives.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because I was thinking too, you know what Pete's missing in his life, Bogus, is
More
young
problems.
children running around the house.
More storylines.
Yeah.
All right.
How about you have another baby running around because you don't have enough going on. I was thinking about the one thing about Pete, he just needs more in his life, more to fill out the day. You're so bored all the time.
Or chaos. Yeah. With the 20 minutes of free time I have a week.
Less sleep.
Wait, Pete, we never even got a story about Disney World. You were there for a week. Did you have a good time?
Oh, there's a lot of stories about Disney World. We had a blast, but it was with kids. So you have your, the times where you want to go in and go in the pool and relax. but it was fun.
In typical Pete fashion, he was upset at things at Disney that everyone knows go on at Disney. And Pete got there, was like, they do this here? This is stupid.
No,
why is Goofy giving me trivia?
I think for my kids, it was a little. I think for at least my son, it was a little hard to adjust to the schedule of getting up. Oh, hey, we have to hit these rides before everybody comes into the park.
Oh yeah,
I think that was a little taxing for him and me.
Me too. I mean, it's like invading Normandy to try and get the rides exactly lined up. My wife had a schedule that was so tight. It was military-like.
Why did we get up at 6 o'clock to see other people tired standing at the bus? That was a little annoying, but it was fun. A lot of fun.
Did you get sick on any rides like I did?
No, I didn't really. See, there was a couple rides I wanted to go on, Tower of Terror and the Rock and Roller Coaster. But the other rides where my daughter couldn't go on, I had my wife and my son went on, and I got a beer.
Tower of Terror sounds pretty good.
That was great. I love that ride.
I've heard they've tamed it down a little bit. That's what my kids said. Yeah.
I was basically up in the air for about 20 seconds.
Yeah. I wouldn't know because I'm afraid of it, but they said it's less scary than it used to be.
It's a lot of fun. I love that ride. It's up and down.
What was on it before? Like knives and machetes and stuff?
The dropping is less severe, apparently.
They dropped you for 50 stories last time.
This is us weakening as a society.
Pete, what about Space Mountain?
No, I'm not
afraid.
No, because
Wimp?
Every time I go on Space Mountain, there's always a low bar that I always have to duck under. I feel like all the time in that ride, and I feel like I'm going to hit it one day, so I don't go on it anymore.
So you're telling me of the millions of people who go through Space Mountain, you're the one who's going to get hit by that bar?
Yes.
Pete, you're like 5'11".
But I feel
5'11".
like it's small. 5'11".
I got to say,
Sorry. 5'10"?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I shared a car in Space Mountain with my little brother, and there was like a loose seatbelt. He started to float up in the middle of the ride, and I was like, he's flying out of this car. Like, I don't understand how anyone and I did it recently. I don't know how anyone survives that ride, except they must, right? Like, Disney can't have this death ride out there.
That'd be Disney really hiding things from us.
Wow. Like if you shine your little flashlight, there's like all these injured kids on the ground at Space Mountain. No,
it's
I don't
an infirmary.
think so. Yeah, but I got Pete, I went on Mount Everest in the Animal Kingdom where your roller coaster goes up, then it comes down. I came out, I was greener than Shrek.
I did not like that one.
I love Perloff says your ride goes up and then down as opposed to the...
No. I didn't describe that well. The roller coaster goes up and you're like, oh, there's a loop coming up. Oh, no, the Yeti ate the rest of the track. That means you're about to go backwards down for about a minute at full speed, not even knowing what the heck is happening. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I think there's a technical coaster name for that trick where you start to go forward and they yank you backwards, and I was not prepared for it. I'm pretty sure I had like a grade 2 concussion from the whiplash.
It's called technical error.
By Maggie, you're talking tough. Your child is about the age where he's going to want to start going on some of these rides soon. Are you ready
I only
to go?
told him it's only Disney Plus. That's all they have. This is it. There's nothing else. The company is just this app that's on our TV, and that's all. That's it.
Yeah, I know. You've told me you're scared of Sesame Place, let alone Disney World. Let alone, by the way, my daughter is now wants to go to Six Flags all the time. I'm like, there is no place I would less want to go than Six Flags. Those rides, the tall roller coasters, is anyone here up for those?
No, those ones feel like they want you to have some kind of injury on.
Yep. Now, Maggie, I'm with you. I am definitely, I like your plan to say Disney Plus. That's the whole company.
That's it. That's all I got.
Wait, were there any sports headlines?
There were some. You missed them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Colorado.
Colorado won. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Andrew Bogish. All right, coming up next, we have to talk about Jerod Mayo and the Patriots. Does this guy know what he's doing? We'll find out next on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff show. Maggie, I think I'm a little easier on coaches than you are. I feel like, especially young coaches, when they come out to press conferences and give contradictory statements, like my coach and the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni, it doesn't matter to me because I feel like that is probably the least important part of a coach's job is communicating with the press. And I'm basing that on the fact that Bill Belichick was the worst of all time and he won 6 rings. So I feel like the next Patriots coach, Gerard Mayo, is going the exact opposite direction. He's saying too much, and he's getting himself in trouble by he basically came out and said, I know people are going to be mad at me for naming Jacoby Brissett the starter. This happened yesterday, but I'm going to do what I want to do. And you said, like, what's the point of doing that as a head coach? I just think he's trying to get through those press conferences and get his team out there, and he's got so many other problems. How he interacts with the press is not even on my list. Do you think it matters with Jerod Mayo kind of putting his foot in his mouth?
Well, here's the problem. Listen, you give press conferences, you talk a lot, you might put your foot in your mouth. We just saw this with Zach Taylor, from the Bengals, and his team went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So obviously you can overcome this stuff. Your coach, Nick Sirianni, has been to a Super Bowl, and he puts his foot in his mouth. The thing is about what Mayo is doing is he's not just putting his foot in his mouth. I think sometimes he's painting himself into these corners that makes it look bad. These are unforced errors, air quote. Like, these aren't big, huge mistakes. But it's one thing to, like, go waffle on, I don't know, like some personnel decision. It's another to do with the quarterback situation. The quarterback is the only thing that matters in New England this year. You've got the 3rd overall pick in Drake May. You can't come out one day and say Drake May's the 2nd best quarterback. Then 12 hours later say, no, he actually is the best quarterback. But then 12 hours later, stay tuned. And then 12 hours later, he's going to start on the bench. To me, you just got to try to find a way to streamline your messaging on this most important aspect, the only important aspect of your football team this year.
Well, you say it's an unforced error. There's only one unforced error. That's not getting the play call in on time. Like, what difference does it make? He was always going Jacoby Brissett. That's clear.
I don't think that was clear, bro.
I think it's like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I think there was nothing that Drake May could have done to win the job because Drake May couldn't have played any better. He's looking at that schedule. He's like, I am not putting Drake May out against the Jets. I'm not putting him out against the Niners. I'm going to wait till they get through this gauntlet of defenses at the beginning of the season. Not that it gets that much easier. I think he or somebody, could have been the GM, I will admit that, made a very strategic decision. Like, this is not for my rookie quarterback. He's only 21. Like, what difference does it make? They're not getting the playoffs. You might as well start in week 5. Honestly, I look at that Jets game, and we both watched the Jets a lot last year.
Yeah.
Why would you put a rookie quarterback out against that? Like, what are you hoping to achieve? That he goes 11 for 27 and throws an interception? Like this, just get him in week 5 against Miami.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Pearl. Like, it's not like other teams outside the Jets and 49ers don't have good pass rushers and they don't have talented defensive players. So if your theory is don't put him out there to get killed or to look bad, well, then don't put him out there. And that's going to be the second part of this thing with Jerod Mayo, because he's definitely saying this is my decision. I probably think there's a few more cooks in the kitchen here who have a say in it, but that's fine. He's putting himself out there.
Yeah.
Are you actually going to be able to hold off the calls to start Drake May? Because I think you're going to hear that. And that's going to come from the media, and that's going to come from the fans. But it might also come from guys in your own locker room, because here's the thing. If Brissett's not playing well, can't have the other 52 guys on the roster say, this season is lost, we've got to quit. This is a very interesting line that Mayo has to walk, where he's got to keep the other guys motivated and engaged in a season that might not have a lot of wins. So you've got to be showing, hey, we're actually trying here. We're trying to win games. I'm trying for you to hit incentives in your contracts. I want you to be able to play in the league for a long time. Yet, if they see Drake May is killing it in practice and Jacoby Brissett is not, I think you have a problem with your team there.
Yeah, I think that he is going to hear the calls to put in Drake May, and he is going to put in Drake May. And I say that based on every situation exactly like this has happened in NFL history. This is what they do. You draft a guy high, you play the veteran there for 6 weeks, and you put in the rookie. It's a NFL tradition. It's a long-held tradition, Maggie. Why would they do anything differently? And who cares about the noise? If he really wants to be a long-term coach, he's going to have to be able to put the noise, whether it's coming from his own locker room or outside, to the side and do what he thinks is best for the team. The other thing, come on, Jacoby Brissett. Who's complaining about getting Jacoby Brissett in the game, Maggie? We've had Jacoby Brissett in our life for a long time. I don't think there's anybody who has a problem with him. He's such a veteran. He's such a pro. It's not like they're playing some knucklehead who's never won an NFL game.
Right.
I just sense, based on what Jacoby Brissett seems like a natural leader, it's not like people have a problem with him. Can you honestly say, okay, we got to get 21-year-old Drake May? If, say, you're Kendrick Bourne, the wide receiver, I just don't see that being a volatile situation where everyone's like, you got to get Jacoby Brissett out of there. That doesn't sound right to me.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, you might not have Jacoby Brissett in there for all these games that you're hoping to have him in
Yeah.
there, because this is someone who already got a little banged up in the preseason, and now you're going to throw him out there behind a bad offensive line amongst some of the league's best pass rushers. Good luck with all that. So we might see Drake May, whether you intend to or not, we might see him earlier than expected. Of course, 855-212-4227. Can I update a poll that we put on our social at Maggie and Pearl on X? The poll question... Oh, sorry, 1 second. Are you back in on Colorado after last night's win? Okay? Are you back in on Colorado after last night's win? Shedeur Sanders hooks up with Travis Hunter to the tune of 3 touchdowns. It was a little dicey at the end, but again, it's week 1. You're still working out some kinks in terms of play calling and clock management, all that stuff. Would you like to guess how this is trending right now?
I'd say 70% no.
94% no. Yeah. Wow. We're not saying that they're going to win the title. I think bowl eligible is probably the goal here for Colorado. We can't get in on bowl eligible. 94% are not in on Colorado after last night. I'm surprised.
Well, I mean, it was sort of a tough look for Colorado to go because North Dakota State is not North Dakota State from 5 years ago. So, honestly, the fact that they gashed Colorado is like, oh, boy, this is not going to be great.
Yeah, but I thought that Shedeur and Travis Hunter and their chemistry and connection was definitely the headline here,
yeah,
right?
But
that
against
was
scrubby cornerbacks. I mean, I could have beaten those guys. And also, Joe Horn was running, or whatever his name is, Horn was running wide open the entire game. Like, there was something going on weird. The NDSD DBs couldn't communicate. So why was that guy so wide open the entire game?
Well, I mean, maybe it's a credit to the play calling. Maybe it is a little bit of a mismatch. Jimmy Horn, you're talking about. I think that, like, this is undeniable. You're in the Big 12, and I know that it's going to be a step up when you get into your conference play, but this is not the Big 10. This is not the defense first. You're not playing Iowa. You are going to be in some shootouts here, and what I saw last night is Shedeur and Travis Hunter, that's enough firepower to keep you in these shootouts. I was super duper impressed. Now, again, I've got a million problems with the game and the play calling and some of the looks, and can their offensive line get a yard, and they're still not running the ball well, but that's for another time.
Yeah, but Maggie, what's different than last year? I mean, they were awesome week 1 last year. They look exactly the same.
I think that what's different about it this year is another year with Shedeur and Travis, another year of Dion coaching at this higher level. I think it's another year of him being in this program. I'm not saying college football playoff, but bowl eligible should absolutely be the goal. 100%.
Yeah, but I don't know. You mean so a winning record bowl eligible?
Well, 6 wins. Yeah, let's get to that.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I don't know. I think that you have to raise the expectation a little bit. Just being bowl eligible, is that really going to... This is probably the last year with Shedeur, so that's what you're doing? And besides, you say one more year with Dion, but, like, has Dion changed? I'm not sure that logic necessarily holds true.
Well, this is why my hope is that maybe we make this story a little bit more about Shedeur and Travis Hunter than it is about actually Dion. Because I have no idea. I still don't know if Dion can coach. Nobody does.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Dion's a coach. Even if it is about Shedeur and Travis, like, when you get in a Big 12 play, you need a good coaching staff. Also, the new D coordinator had a really good second half, but this was against do we think North Dakota State was good? I'm not sure what's going on here. Like, I feel like a good team might score 50 points on them, which will be really exciting and fun. But I don't even know if you're going to let up 50 points a game, you're not even going to be bowl eligible.
It's interesting.
By the way, let me ask you a question. We can put up as a poll. It's going to be even last night it started. If you're Travis Hunter and you're going to next year's draft, are you a wide receiver or a cornerback? I think we should both get on the record early in the season instead of next March when it's going to be the hot debate.
Yeah. After that third touchdown catch that I saw him make last night in the end zone when they had to do this quick snap, and he's basically just wrestling with the DB and somehow came down with basically like started with as a one-handed and then catch it and was able to haul it in. I think he's a wide receiver. What about you?
Yes, definitely. Just for pure entertainment. I mean, he would probably be more valuable as a cornerback because he could affect every play as a cornerback because he basically shut down half the field. but he's got to play wide receiver, or maybe he can do both. Want to pick up Big Dave real quick? We have a minute here, Dave. What did you want to say about Colorado before we move on?
Hey, what I want to say is Jerry Jones is circling the wagon this morning trying to figure out a way to cosmetically tank the season so he can get him next year.
Shador.
Yeah. I mean, can you guys not see this? I mean, is this not like the perfect storm?
Oh, man.
It is, Dave. It is. And I'm willing to go down this rabbit hole with you as far down you want to go.
Wait, are we talking a Deion Shador marriage in Dallas? Deion the coach?
Well, the circus part would come along with him. I don't know about the head coach, but he would love this. This is tailor made. This is tailor made for Jerry Jones. I'm telling you, I'm serious about this. I mean, he's circling the wagon this morning. Dak Prescott's gone. He's screwed. He's going to pack his bags, man. Shador is in.
All right. Thank you, Big Dave. Man, Maggie, that would mean you would win the bet. And in fact, I'll eat an extra cheese omelet if Shador's the quarterback because that's just awesome. All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk to one of our favorites. We are 6 days away from the NFL season. How cool is this, Maggie? Trey Wingo is coming up next. Are you psyched?
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to break down the NFL, a little more Cowboys talk with someone who knows the team very well. Trey Wingo is next right here on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
It's time to say so long. You grumbled and groaned, but we stayed strong with your love. Oh, Pete Bellotti, it's time to say so long. You grumbled and groaned, but we stayed.
Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
It's time to say so long. You grumbled and groaned, but we stayed strong. With your love for old shows and your curmudgeon charm, now you're off to Amy and we're raising the alarm. Good riddance, Pete, we'll be better off today. No more Three's Company, we're alphing our way off to Amy Lawrence, where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. Offered to run the White Sox, what a plan. We're running our show, you were our grumpy old man. With the NBA on NBC playing in your head, we'll carry on now without all that dread. Good riddance, Pete, we'll be better off today. No more Three's Company, we're alphing flow will be smoother, everything will feel just right than before, but always.
One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Big day here. Pete Belotti's last day, his last hour with us before he moves on to become the executive producer of the Amy Lawrence Show, which we're excited for. But first, we are now 6 days away from it actually starting. We have college football going, but NFL is 6 days away. Maggie, I mean, we are just so thrilled right now.
Well, yeah, this is our time. I mean, as much as we love the offseason, this is it. And we love picking the brains of people who are super smart about football. And our next guest certainly falls in that category. Trey Wingo, of course, loved watching him on ESPN for all of those years. Now has joined the DraftKings Network. Congratulations, Trey. Love that you're going to be doing pregame shows on Mondays and Thursdays for DraftKings. It's such a pleasure to talk with you. How you been?
Good, man. Good to be back with both of you. Yeah, it's hard to believe the long slog since the Super Bowl in Vegas is finally going to begin with the game Thursday night. It feels like it goes away and it's like you lose a family member. And it's nice to see it finally coming back and ready to go in just about a week.
Trey, it's funny. I was complaining about when Brandon Aiyuk signed. I'm like, oh, my God, I got fooled again. I spent all summer just worrying about these contracts, CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Aiyuk. What's your stance on how much attention we pay to different negotiations around the league? Because by week 4, we'll forget about most of them. Or do you think that these really are important and are going to affect a lot moving forward?
Well, I mean, look, the NFL's really good at two things. I mean, they're really good at two things. One is keeping our attention, and two, making a lot of money. So these protracted contract negotiations are a way to keep our attention and keep our interests. You know, I mean, like we have the season starting, but so much of the off season is what I call list season, right? Where we come up with lists of things in football so we can talk about football until football gets here. And the contract negotiations fall into that. The Aiyuk thing was obviously very, very interesting because it played out almost immediately after the Super Bowl, and Brandon himself was very, very open about every single step of it. The CeeDee Lamb thing was interesting because now my situation is, well, what is this going to do for the JaMarrChase deal, right? And if you're a Bengals fan, like, aren't you a little nervous with the way this has played out? Like, the T. Higgins thing was supposed to be, we're not going to take care of T because we need to pay Jamar. And then Mike Brown, as old school owner as it gets in the NFL, comes out and says, well, you know, now's not the time to negotiate. And then Zach Taylor says a few days ago, oh, he'll be there game 1, don't worry about it. Then he shows up 13 minutes late to practice in street clothes, and Zach says, who I love Zach, and he's changed the culture there dramatically, says, well, we're not sure now. So there's a lot of unnecessary angst, I think, for a pretty talented team in Cincinnati right now.
Trey Wingo is joining us. Let's stick on Cincinnati because I did notice that you sent out a tweet yesterday or a couple days ago that says, as someone I trust told me about things in Cincinnati this summer, the vibe isn't good. And, you mentioned Zach Taylor's change of culture. Joe Burrow is there. And outside of that wrist injury, looks like he's ready to go. Can you elaborate on that? Is it just JaMarrChase is why the vibe's not good, or are you hearing something else?
I think that when you don't take care of your best players, and there's no question JaMarrChase is one of their best players, there's a sense around the locker room that goes, well, if they're not going to take care of him, what are they going to do with me? And, that's that fine line. And I get it. You want to try and keep everybody under contract for as cap-friendly a deal as possible until you have to pay somebody. But the way it's sort of gone about, I think there's a little angst. I mean, look, every year we have a team that goes from worst to first, almost, it seems, in the NFL. And the Bengals were last in the AFC North last year, even though they finished 9-8 with a winning record, and they're getting Joe Burrow back, and they still have JaMarrChase, and they still have all this stuff. But that division is really, really competitive right now. I think the AFC North might be the best division going into this season. And I don't know. It doesn't. The person I spoke with says it's just not a good vibe right now. And I know that's a vague term, and I understand that. But this is a guy that I've known for a long time, and he's usually right about this stuff. So I thought it was an interesting phrase that he put out there.
But JaMarrChase is only 3 years in. It's a little different than some of these other guys. I know Devontae Smith got paid, and I understand reportedly he's asking for more than Justin Jefferson. Now, I'm not going to defend Mike Brown, but it seems like, this is an odd situation. He's pushing a little further than the other guys because he still has 2 more years left under control of the team. If I think we've been debating, Trey, is there a rivalry between Justin Jefferson and JaMarrChase, the former LSU wide receivers? Like, is this how the players are looking at it? Like, well, if that guy is getting this, I need to get that.
Well, yeah, I mean that happens, right? I mean, when Justin was drafted in 2020, a lot of people are like, yeah, he's good, but this kid Chase the next year, he's the real one out of LSU. And it turns out they're both absolutely fantastic players. And I think what was the story? Like, he wants 1 penny more than, because that 1 penny is going to make the difference. I mean, that's propelling him to where he can buy that yacht. That 1 penny, that's going to be the thing. So yeah, there's absolutely everything's a competition, right? Especially with these guys, these uber-driven dudes, right? I mean, Jamar can't even say sometimes Patrick Mahomes' names because he's still so salty that they lost that AFC Championship game a couple of years ago. So yeah, this is what drives these guys. I mean, this is what drives any sort of competitive athlete. No matter what. If you're not competitive about everything at this level, you're not going to be successful.
Trey Wingo is joining us, has joined DraftKings Network, is going to be doing pregame shows on Mondays and Thursdays leading up to those big primetime games, which is so cool. If I were JaMarrChase, instead of buying like a necklace that has like all the diamonds and stuff like that, I'd just be walking around with the 1 penny. Like, that's what I would do. I'd get the necklace with the penny, and that would just be for Justin Jefferson if he actually signs this deal. Trey, you mentioned the message it sends to a locker room when you don't pay your best guys, or when you kind of mess around mess with them, draw it out, whatever. Does that exist with the Cowboys locker room if Dak Prescott doesn't get a contract before the season starts?
Yeah, probably. But the Cowboys' problems are all self-made, right? Let's just be honest about it. The Cowboys' cap issues began when they decided to pay Ezekiel Elliott before they paid Dak Prescott. I mean, let's just, that's what happened. That's the reason that Amari Cooper is no longer there. They had to get rid of him to pay some people. If they had taken care of Dak before they took care of Zeke, the Dallas Cowboys situation would be completely different. But they held out, and then then Dak's people did a really smart thing. They're like, no, we're good. You went before you got the last contract. Said, unless you're gonna reset the market, we'll wait and we'll see. And then he got that massive deal that everybody freaked out about. But it was a situation where that thing has to be adjusted one way or the other. And he's either, as my good friend Adam Schefter said, he's either going to be the highest paid quarterback in football or he's going to take a home team discount. So he's either going to make a lot of money or he's going to make a little less money, one way or the other. But the Cowboys, they had to. By the way, I'm glad you brought this up because the Cowboys had to take care of CeeDee Lamb. You go look at the numbers from CeeDee last year. I don't know why people aren't saying top wide receivers in football: Justin Jefferson, JaMarrChase, Tyreek Hill, and CeeDee Lamb. Like he doesn't have that sort of in that club brand name recognition, but he should. Number one in receptions, second in receiving yards, second in receiving touchdowns. I think he led the league in yak yards. Number one in first half year. I mean, you go down the numbers for CeeDee Lamb, and we need to start putting him in that conversation whenever we talk about Justin Jefferson, JaMarrChase, Tyreek Hill, all these other top wide receivers, because the production is there.
Trey, you know what's so funny about the Cowboys? They have
everything.
There's so much sizzle, but then they make all these smart offensive lineman choices. And there's video of these two new guys they have just mauling people. Who's making these smart picks? That can't be Jerry, is it?
No, listen. There's a couple of guys behind the scenes that are pulling the strings there. But you're right. You go back to Zach Martin or a couple of the offensive linemen, the centers that they've gotten out of Wisconsin, Tyler Smith, Tyron Smith, Tyler Guyton, all these guys. That's their secret sauce. They have figured out a way to draft offensive linemen. They are really, really good at it. And there's a couple of guys in the weeds in the Cowboys front office and on that development staff that really do a good job with that.
Trey Wingo is joining us. You mentioned list season earlier. List season not officially over yet, Trey. We still have a couple days to get list season in, and we have a fun one. We actually are going to go just right to the Sports Talk Radio well with the Mount Rushmore question for you on this one. So we've been doing some Mount Rushmore stuff around here. We sprinkle it in. It's not the identity of the show, but every now and again, it's the only way to settle scores. You had such a distinguished career, continue to have a distinguished career. We're such big fans of yours. We know what it takes to do not just radio, hosting drafts. I mean, these are big, huge assignments that you do with ease and have done with ease. SportsCenter, the behemoth, the standard for ESPN. Mount Rushmore SportsCenter anchors. We want to know yours, but I'm going to give you time to think about it, and we can filibuster a little so you can get your thoughts together. And I'll also ask you for your Super Bowl pick, because I know that your brain can do two things at once because you're so talented. So I think you can give us your Super Bowl pick and also be thinking and contemplating your Mount Rushmore of SportsCenter anchors all at the same time.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's start with the Super Bowl. Look, I said this last year in Vegas. What's the rule in Vegas? You never bet against the house, right? The house always wins. Patrick Mahomes is the house. I mean, they won the Super Bowl last year with the worst record they've ever had in the regular season. His wide receivers led the league in drops, and his yards per attempt was the lowest of his career. Well, now they go get not only Xavier Worthy in the draft, who, by the way, before he blazed through the 40, had first-round tape. I mean, it's not – some guys are just speed burners. He had first-round tape before he set the record in the 40. They still have Rashee Rice. They get Hollywood Brown, even though he's a little banged up. And if you watch what the Chiefs have done in their preseason games, they're doing things that they weren't doing last year. And I want to be clear, I do not put a lot of stake in the results of preseason games, because a preseason game is the same as an NFL game in the same way that a tofu burger and a Wagyu burger is. Technically, they're both burgers, but they cannot be more different, right? So when I see what I see them taking more shots. Like, they had to dink and dunk their way down the field last year. I think this year Kansas City is going to look a lot more explosive like they were in 2019, 2020, 2021. And they have Juju now back to work underneath. Whatever he has left, they're going to get the best out of him. I don't think I've ever seen a team more complete around Patrick Mahomes, and I think this team has the best opportunity that I can think of any team to win 3 straight Super Bowls. So until they're out, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid in Kansas City. Until someone proves that they can beat that. I mean, put it this way: there's only one active quarterback who can claim to lead his team to a win over Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Those 3 playoff losses are 2 to Tom Brady and the Patriots and the Bucks, and 1 to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Nobody else has beaten this team in the postseason with Patrick Mahomes there. That's a crazy thing. The Chiefs are 15-3 in the postseason with Patrick Mahomes as their starting quarterback. He didn't start till 2018. For comparison, Aaron Rodgers' Packer career as a starting quarterback began in 2008, and the Packers with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback from 2008 till last season, had 12 wins versus 10 losses.
But Trey, there are a couple guys who almost beat him. Does that count for anything? Almost. Jalen Hurts. Brock Purdy.
Yeah, horseshoes and hand grenades in global thermonuclear war, I think, is where almost counts.
What about your NFC pick?
That's a good one because San Francisco, this is another team that's really interesting, right? Because if you go top to bottom, 1 through 53, I think a lot of people would agree San Francisco probably has the best roster, 1 through 53. But they just don't have 15. Now, Brock Purdy's really good, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. San Francisco, I'm a little concerned about them for two reasons. One, I'm glad they got the Aiyuk thing because that was a lot of drama. But Trent Williams still isn't there. And no one's talking about this enough. Remember when Joe Burrow had that calf strain last preseason or training camp? And he was really limited for the first few games until he sort of got back into a groove, and then he injured his wrist and his ankle, and his wrist and his thumb, and his season was done. Christian McCaffrey is still not ready for week 1, according to the 49ers, with a calf strain. Now, it's one thing to have a calf strain as a quarterback. It is another thing completely to have a calf strain as a running back. Well, that's your entire business, is your legs. You use those legs as much as you can on every play. I'm curious to see how that one plays out. I default to San Francisco because I love that roster so much. But the Trent Williams thing, and I want to see that if Christian's completely healthy going into the season. So that's a concern. A lot of people talk about Philadelphia. They did lose 6 of their last 7 games last year and flamed out to the Bucs in the playoffs. Team I'm really interested in this year is Green Bay and Chicago. I thought Green Bay with Jordan Love played as well as any quarterback over the last 8 or 9 games of the regular season, and then went into Dallas in his first playoff start and absolutely obliterated a Cowboys team that had the second longest home winning streak in franchise history, that had the highest turnover margin in their favor at home last season, and had the highest point differential at home last season, and they blew them out of the water. So I'm really interested in Green Bay, and I'm also intrigued by Chicago. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback taken number 1 overall walk into a better situation than Caleb Williams. I mean, when Justin Fields got there in the 2021 draft, the 2 top weapons were Velus Jones and Darnell Mooney, and statistically, they had the worst defense in the history of the Bears franchise. Now would be a good time to tell you the Bears have always existed as long as there's been an NFL. The Bears have been in it. That's how bad that Bears defense was. Well, now you got a top 10, maybe top 5 defense in Chicago. You have Cole Kmet, you draft Rome Odunze, you have DJ Moore, you have DeAndre Swift, and you trade for Keenan Allen. I mean, Caleb Williams is more set up for success than any quarterback taken number 1 overall in the draft I have ever seen.
All right, Trey, I've been a fan of yours going back to the Binghamton, New York days. That's my hometown. That's one of the places.
Oh, my God.
Where you got your start. You're still a legend there, as you will always be. You have done everything in this business, and you continue to do incredibly great work. We mentioned DraftKings now. You've got a new show. It's going to be on Mondays and Thursdays. You're great. We've given you enough time. Filibuster. We need your Mount Rushmore of SportsCenter anchors. According to Trey Wingo, the floor is yours.
Okay. To me, now this is going to include people that obviously started on SportsCenter and then did other things. You have to start with Boomer. You have to start with Chris Berman. Then for me, I would put The Big Show, Dan Patrick, and Keith Olbermann. Keith Olbermann, as he was then, I want to be clear, like he was so funny. And those two, the way they worked together was great. And the fourth one for me would have to be Stewart, because he changed the game in a way that sort of made us all think about things differently. So for me, it would be Boomer, because Bristol, it's been there forever. What are you gonna do? He's the Raiders. So it would be Boomer. It would be Dan and Keith together specifically, and then Stewart. And if anybody else, I'm sorry. Yeah. My friends who I all worked with, I love you all, but they asked, and that's the best answer I can give.
Trey, Charlie Steiner already texted me and said, "What the heck? What the heck, dude?"
Charlie. Well, he's still fighting that guy at London at that Wimbledon match in the late 70s. One of the greatest. People forget that was Charlie Steiner. There was a fight breaking out at a post-match interview at Wimbledon. It was Charlie and some British guy going at it. Freaking hilarious. By the way, Charlie also always had this tick. Whenever he started laughing on SportsCenter, he'd pull at his lobe, Go back and look at all the times Charlie lost it on the air. You can find it on YouTube. He starts pulling at his earlobe every time. I don't know what that was about. Whenever he started laughing, it's like a Carol Burnett thing he did.
Yeah.
He started pulling on his earlobe.
Trey, what was your rookie class when you got to Bristol? I'm trying to remember.
I came in with David Lloyd and Brian Kenny in 1997.
Wow,
that's when I showed up there.
Was Brian all over the analytics back then, or is that,
was he railing against batting average?
Oh yeah, wins are not. Well, I do love him, because I've sort of taken that and adopted this to football. He's like, wins don't make any sense as a pitcher stat. And at first I was like, that's insane. What are you talking about? I kind of understand where he's coming from, because I'm a big believer that wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. And I'm not saying a quarterback can't be the difference in a game, but like, I see the Bills jersey behind you, Maggie. Tell me why Josh Allen is credited with a loss in that 2021 playoff game where he gave the go-ahead touchdown to Gabe Davis with 13 seconds left in the fourth quarter. But it's a loss for him? Get out of here. That's garbage. The special teams blew it. The defense blew it. It wasn't Josh Allen's fault. He shouldn't have that loss on his resume.
Yes, but somehow he's overrated. I don't get that one either.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's
but,
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
We'll have to do that another day. Trey, this is great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for getting up with us for this new show on DraftKings, which we're super excited for, and appreciate your perspective.
Oh, thanks. It's going to be fun. Can't wait. DraftKings Network, 6 to 7, Monday and Thursday nights, all through the season. Thanks,
Awesome,
guys. Appreciate
Trey.
it.
Appreciate you, Trey Wingo. All right, you got his Mount Rushmore there, too, of SportsCenter anchors. Berman, Dan and Keith together, and then Stuart Scott. It's a good list. I would, for me with Berman, though, just because of my age and everything, he's so NFL primetime to me.
Yeah,
he's so much primetime more than SportsCenter anchor, but that's just because of when I grew up.
Yeah, Berman sort of invented SportsCenter, and not invented SportsCenter, but, O to be Young and McDowell, the nicknames, that's one of the first hits where SportsCenter became a national thing because of Berman's nicknames. And then Dan and Keith took the torch from there. And then I love that he brought up Stuart Scott, obviously.
Yeah.
There's so many. Rich Eisen, like all these incredible talents, Linda Cohn.
So that's my Mount Rushmore. I'm Linda.
Yeah.
I'm Dan Patrick. I'm Stu Scott. And I'm Kenny Mayne.
Well, I went to Dan Patrick took me to a round table of some former, it was Tirico, Robin Roberts, Dan, and a couple other people. And they all credited Berman for really making SportsCenter a thing. So it's kind of like Pete Pilati's Saturday Night Live thing.
Yeah.
You got to give the founders, when you're doing Mount Rushmore, you got to give Aykroyd and Belushi their due. You got to give Chris Berman their due. That's how I do Mount Rushmores is I credit the OGs. I'm sorry.
Kaplan just wrote in the chat, Pete has Bill Pito. Well, I love Bill Pito. He does great job on the Knicks games for sure, but that's just so funny that he would be one of the most recent.
Boy. All right. That was a lot of fun. Coming up next, Steph Curry's making even more money. How much money does Steph Curry need? We'll get in that next Maggie and Perloff show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
It's time to say goodbye. From Maggie and Perloff, you spread your wings to fly. You're a curmudgeon, but we love you all the same. With your love for old TV and the board you always take. Goodbye, Pete, you'll be missed every day. From Three's Company to Alf, you kept the oldies in play. Now you're off to Amy Lawrence, a new chapter to unfold. But the NBA on NBC in your heart will never grow. You offered to be GM for the White Sox crew, but running the show was what you always knew. From hitting the drops to controlling the sound, you kept us all laughing, kept the rhythm so profound. Goodbye, Pete, you'll be missed every day. From Three's Company to Alf, you kept the oldies in play. Now you're off to Amy Lawrence, a new chapter to unfold. But the NBA on NBC in your heart will never go. As you join the night shift, we'll remember your way. The gruffness, the wit, every word you'd say. So here's to the memories, the laughs and the fun. Pete Golic, your new journey has begun. Oh, goodbye Pete, you'll be missed every day. From Three's Company to Alf, you kept the oldies in play. Now you're off to Amy Lawrence, a new chapter to unfold. But the NBA on NBC in your heart will never grow. Goodbye Pete Golic, we'll keep you in our hearts. As you mix with Amy's crew, a brand new star. But no matter where you go or where you might roam, you'll always have a place with us, your radio home.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds. Andrew Bogus came in early. It's a sad day in sports. Do you want to share the latest news for people who have not heard it?
Yes, we are getting more details now of this unbelievable hockey tragedy. Columbus Blue Jackets winger Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew were killed last night while riding their bikes in southern Jersey. Police now say that while one car moved to its left to give the men room on the side of the road, another car then whipped around that first car and hit them. The driver is now facing charges of being impaired and, of course, vehicular manslaughter, for lack of a better term. Gaudreau was just 31 years old, had 2 young kids, his brother 29. They were together because their sister was supposed to get married today in Philadelphia.
Oh, wow. So it happened in South Jersey?
Yes, which is where they're generally from, yeah.
This is unbelievable. You're telling me the detail of this was so they were on the side of the road and a car moved to the left to sort of give them some space, and the car behind that car then saw that as an opportunity to like pass on the right and hit them?
Yes.
Oh my God. That is so avoidable and awful.
And avoidable if you were just like an angry, impatient driver, but this person was allegedly drunk too.
This is such an awful story. What do you do with this? This people's lives are ruined, and obviously 2 people have lost their lives, and a family is now just completely ripped apart. Yeah, EJ.
As well, working in news for a long time, we all have an understanding. A lot of the local governments have an understanding that Labor Day weekend is usually a spike for impaired driving, drunk driving under the influence. So that adds a layer of sadness as well. This is a holiday weekend. Of course, you had a wedding that was supposed to happen today. People out there, do not get behind the wheel if you are impaired in any way. We know people will have fun this weekend. It's a celebration for a lot of folks, but this is unfortunately the side thing that comes with these holidays, whether it's Memorial Day weekend, July 4th, or unfortunately Labor Day. And it's an absolute tragedy that this had to happen in this way.
All right, Bogus.
I mean, also two young children. Johnny Hockey had a 1-year-old and a 6-month-old. I mean, this is just the more you get and the more updates on this, the worse that it gets. This is just so awful. I feel for everyone involved, and man, how do you get past this? You don't. There's no good way to get past this and to turn our attention to other sports.
And we'll do that here. We talk about the usual unimportant things we discuss on a regular morning, like Colorado football holding off FCS North Dakota State last night, 31-26 in Boulder. Shedeur Sanders threw 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to Travis Hunter. Number 12, Utah got 5 touchdown passes from 7th-year QB Cam Rising in a 49-0 rout of Southern Utah. Number 24, NC State had a rally in the fourth quarter to beat Western Carolina 38-21. We actually still don't have the official announcement yet from the Niners, but Brandon Aiyuk is re-signing a 4-year extension, max value $120 million. So he could now make $134 million over the next 5 years. Initial reports say Aiyuk will get $90 million of that over the next 3 seasons. Baseball last night, a rare time when we were all pulling for the Phillies.
Holmes kicks and deals, and the pitch swung on, driven to center. It's deep. Harris is back at the track, at the wall. It's gone into the hedges, and Castellanos has turned the game around with a 2-run home run here in the bottom of the 7th inning. It is his 19th of the season.
Play it while you can, Pete. Scott Fransky, Phils Radio, the 2-run homer completing a comeback from 4-0 down. The Phils beat the Braves 5-4. This is what matters. Atlanta losing allows the Mets to close within 3 games of the last wild card spot since they won in Arizona in the afternoon 3-2. An absolute stunner at the U.S. Open last night. Carlos Alcaraz, maybe the favorite of the men's side, knocked out in straight sets by world number 74.
Botik van de Zandschulp.
Yep. Naomi Osaka also losing
That's not
in
real.
less of an upset last night. All right, Pete, I've got another message from a former friend. It's a big one. I kind of want to make sure that you have some kind of emotional reaction to this because this was a big get for us. So sit back and let it wash over you.
Bilotti, you son of a gun, you. What's going on? It's your boy Taz here, man. Listen, first off, congratulations on your new EP, executive producer position. I'm very happy for you. I'm proud of you. You deserve it. Always a hard worker. Just had great times working with you in the morning, no matter what time we were chatting. If it was 3:30 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, getting to work, we always had a laugh, talking Mets, talking whatever, and just chopping it up. Bilotti, go get him, bro.
That's Taz of Taz and the Moves. I believe that was morning show number 6 of the 14 that have been in this time slot here on CBS Sports Network in 12 years.
That is a big get. I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you. It was great working with him and with everybody in the morning. You know, I really
Give us your Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
People. No, do not do that. First of all, I'm amazed that Trey did that. You cannot do that. But you
yes,
will
he
make
can.
somebody
So
bad.
Taz is number 1. Who are the other 3?
Taz.
We should also say that Taz is for people who may not be familiar with his other work, is a professional wrestler and wrestling announcer. This is Pete's number 1 love, maybe 1A with Sports Talk Radio, family, friends, all that. You love wrestling. So Taz clearly would make it to the top of the pack. Now, who's the next 3?
I'm not doing that. No way.
Do it.
But Taz was very supportive of me, and we'll get into. We're
going to do this. We're going to go backwards here. Now, Maggie and Perloff, present company excluded. You guys haven't been together long enough to meet the eligibility requirements anyway, so you can't be
that
on
is
this.
not true.
Yes, it is.
We should absolutely be involved in this.
You
Maggie,
can't.
what are you doing?
Too close for comfort, so you're out. Okay. it's I'm going to lop some names off here. It's not BT. It's not Brian Jones. It's not the Moose of Taz and the Moose. So we're down to just Greg Giannotti, Dana Jacobson, Tiki Barber, and John Feinstein, I think, or
Gottlieb?
DA.
Gottlieb?
No, Gottlieb. And DA. So that's 6 names or 5 names. You got to pick 3. Go ahead.
No, I'm not doing it. I am not doing it.
Okay,
I
well,
love them
Tiki's
all.
on. We know Tiki's there. So we've got Taz, we got Tiki.
We did have some parties with Dana.
Okay, so now Dana's in, who I just talked to last week, by the way. So you have one more spot.
No, I am not doing this. This is Andrew Bogus's list.
No,
I love
this is the
everybody.
list. This is almost science.
Can we make him
Science.
choose between DA and Mraz? I'd enjoy
No, we're not
watching
even
it.
including Mraz. We know that's not it. So it's DA or Feinstein for the last spot.
Or is
Come
it
on now.
DA or Bogish?
No, I don't count that either.
Bogus is in another category.
Yes.
Yes.
I maintain the Mount Rushmore.
What, like also receiving votes? Like what other categories?
I'm number 1 in the coaches poll.
It's like I said with Aykroyd. He's like the rock of the Mount Rushmore.
Wait, I don't even understand, Pete. You had a pro wrestler that you were working with. How did you even get through a show without peppering with questions about pro wrestling
Because I'm a
history
professional.
all day?
No, that's what happened
ask
every
Taz
day. What do you
1,000
mean?
questions?
Yes.
Yeah, by the way,
Would you
wait,
sweat
what?
on me? Will you suplex me? What does that feel
I
like?
spread 'em
What's
out
he
over the-
like? Do you have any
what-
leotards
Did
around?
you ever meet Bam Bam Bigelow? Like things like that?
No, you can't ask about Bam Bam.
I spread it out over the course of 2 years.
Wait, why can't? Oh,
You can't ask about Bam Bam. Can't ask Taz about Bam Bam.
Well, that's very emotional for Taz. That was one of his big heroes that put him over in ECW.
oh, wow! I did
Jeez,
not know.
Perloff, you really stepped in it there.
Thanks, Perloff.
Thanks,
Actually-
Maggie. Why'd you help me out there?
I'm at home in a closet. What am I supposed to do?
No, I wasn't even going on the serious front. I remember people thinking Taz and Bam Bam were the same person.
What?
Yes.
Who thought that?
People on the internet.
They don't think well if they thought that.
I mean, they're both bald guys in tight outfits.
That's half the roster.
Bam Bam Bigelow's like
That's
300 pounds. I was nowhere near
That's
that.
America, people.
Pete, if we could have had one, and we didn't get anybody, I'm going to tell you right now. If we could have had one WWE legend, history guest, who is the wrestler you would have most wanted to come on today to say goodbye?
Austin, maybe.
Austin, huh?
Yeah.
Not The Rock, like the Austin.
Yeah, everyone has The Rock on now. I would say Austin.
Oh, The Rock's overexposed, so we actually turned him down. He called to say he wanted to come on.
Or Mick Foley.
Pass on The Rock.
I like Mick Foley.
We actually
Taz, so that's one of them.
we called the WWE. They said they had Mike Jones from Teaneck, New Jersey, who's wearing a one-strap onesie.
I'll take him.
About to get killed.
That's right.
We got some
About to
of
get
the
tombstones.
The what are those guys called? The ham and eggers or whatever? Tomato cans?
The slang version would be jobbers.
Yes.
But the preliminary wrestlers.
Oh, I love those guys.
Enhancement talents.
Saturday morning, those guys always fought somebody good. That was great.
And lost.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, here comes SD Jones. He's walking in, special delivery.
Always.
Lost in
Mario
9 seconds to
Mancini,
King Kong
yeah.
Bundy in WrestleMania 1.
All right, last thing from me to Pete, because as you guys have alluded to, we've been together since day one. We'll get to my celebration as the lone survivor next week. But for me feeling so deeply for Pete, I want to make sure that you start off this new job on the right foot. So I talked to Amy Lawrence, some tips of working with her, and Amy does run a tight ship. That's why I wanted to ask and give you some pointers. Specifically, I asked Amy, because up until now, you guys have been more friends than coworkers. Now that gets more professional. What should you call Amy at work?
We already laid that down. You cannot call me dad in the workplace. All right. Once we leave out of the private facility and the gates close, I could be dad again. In the car, if we ride together. At home, I could be dad. No, he got to call me like 2-3 or Brian. Okay. Or, GOAT if he want to.
So what do you think, GOAT, Braun, or 2-3? What are you going to call her?
All right, Braun.
Okay, good.
Did you ask Amy her thoughts on LeBron and the things he says before you agreed to this?
We'll tackle that during the first week of our programs.
It's going to be a fun week.
Can I ask you an honest question? Do you have any, how do you think this is going to work? What you've been with Pete a long time.
I'm sorry, my mic's not working.
No, like
yes, it is.
They're going to have to find common ground here. Like, do you think there's any potential content issues where they're going to disagree on something?
I'm most concerned about the 5:55 to 6:20 a.m. Eastern window where they take turns complaining to me about the other one.
Oh, come on!
I'm going to be the
That's not gonna
new
happen.
psychotherapist of after hours.
I'm just gonna complain to you about other stuff.
Oh, great!
Wait, what happens, Bogus, when I see out of the corner of my eye that Pete walks over to your office between segments? It seems like animatedly discussed. Yeah, is he talking trash about the rest of us? I'm assuming so.
All I'm going to say is I'm changing locations as of next Tuesday. I'm going to be working remotely.
You want to borrow my Buffalo Bills closet here? You can come on over.
I mean, now you clean up that shelf. Yeah, I guess I can come in there.
I'll leave it set up for you.
No, I've actually observed Pete and Amy together because you guys seem to genuinely enjoy each other. I think this is going to be super fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I sat in this chair for 11 years, so it's something different. And
it's the same chair on Tuesday, bro.
It is. That won't change, and it hasn't changed. It probably hadn't changed before I got here. But
there's no new chair in this deal.
That's right. Never, ever. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to this show where they go, where you guys go with whoever sits here after me, and just doing successful radio for all of us. That's what I'm looking forward to.
This would be a good time to announce that we are going to do a Survivor-like bake-off to see who gets to take Pete's role on this show. It's going to be a fight to the death, actually.
Yeah.
So we're really gonna raise the stakes on this one. Yeah.
Have these people cook?
Yes.
Who is the most like Pete? Like, we want someone to shave their head and talk about wrestling. Like, some of the guys around here.
Can you put 1+ marriages on a job requirement?
It's a must.
First question. What do you think about Pete's first wife? Go.
You're going to have 4 hours to do that. You won't have enough time.
Maggie, I have a feeling we're not going to be able to replace Pete. I'm just getting that sense right now.
It's not going to be the same. That's impossible. Pete's irreplaceable. He's one of one. And now we're just going to have to see who can get put through the ringer to try to step into these very big shoes that have to be filled.
Well, I mean, they're not like Maggie Gray size shoes, but they are big shoes. We're not talking like Jurassic Park footprint Maggie Gray size.
Yeah, we can't sail to safety in them if this place floods.
Yeah. They're big shoes to fill, but let's not get ridiculous.
If you can make some good lemon bread, then you're in.
I didn't say water skis to fill. Those would be my feet. Pete's just shoes to fill.
Right.
Oh, boy. All right. The rundown says in the next segment we're supposed to say goodbye to Pete, but Maggie actually just sent me a note saying she wants to break down the average salary of wide receivers around the NFL instead. So that was it, Pete. I'm sorry. She's going to get into T. Higgins' contract next. We're going to...
Bye, Pete.
We're going to say goodbye.
Thanks.
JJ Redick is next.
Yes.
No.
Actually... Yeah. Can you pull 3 quotes about LeBron and J.J. Redick discussing vintages from 1978 Chardonnays?
I'll grab them for 56.
All right. I guess we'll say some more nice things about Pete. That's next. Maggie Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
It's time to say goodbye.
Oh, people, it's time to say so long. You grumbled and groaned, but we stayed strong. With your love for old shows and your curmudgeon charm, now you're off to Amy, and we're raising the alarm. Good riddance, Pete, we'll be better off today. No more Three's Company, we're alphing our way off to Amy Lawrence, where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. You offered to run the White Sox, what a plan. We're running our show, you're our grumpy old man. With the NBA on NBC playing in your head, we'll carry on now without all that dread. Good riddance, people be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alvin, I'll way off to Amy Lawrence, where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. Man before, but always with a scowl. Now the airwaves will be free of your growl. So here's to a new day without your TV fuss. People out, you're gone, but it's good for us. Good riddance, people be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alvin, I'll way off to Amy Lawrence, where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. So long, people riding, we're glad to see you go. The vibe will be lighter, the laughter will flow. No more complaints, just a fresh new start. Goodbye, Pete, we're happy to part. Good riddance, people be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alvin, I'll way off to Amy Lawrence, where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right. All people out, we're glad to see you go. The vibe will be lighter, the laughter will flow. No more complaints, just a fresh new start. Goodbye, Pete, we're happy to part.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, people out there, it's time to say so long. You grumbled and groaned, but we stayed strong. With your love for old shows and your curmudgeon charm. Now you're off to Amy, and we're raising the alarm. Good riddance, people be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alvin, I'll way off to Amy. Where you can grumble.
Andrew Kaplan. Batting 1,000.
Tell us what you really feel.
Wait,
good riddance.
do you guys know that is obviously an Andrew Kaplan special? Is that a specific artist that I should know, or is that a total?
Not Chaperone.
Is that a
No.
original piece?
Not Burt Bacharach.
Not Hall or Oates.
Yeah, it's Billie Holiday.
Oh my gosh! You know, by the
Paul
way,
could do that, not Oates.
can you guys guess? I asked Pete since he did his Mount Rushmore of Saturday Night Live actors, who his one Saturday Night Live musical guest would be. I think you guys could imagine who. If you think, I'll give you a hint. It's not Oates.
Guest star.
Was it somebody who hosted and was the musical guest? The same,
I don't
saying no.
Pete.
He was a musical guest.
but not a host.
I don't think he was a host.
So not Justin Timberlake.
No.
It wasn't going to be Justin Timberlake. Anyway.
Tom Hanks doesn't sing, so no.
Who is the ultimate New York musical
like
artist?
Sinatra or something?
Close.
Like Billy Joel?
Billy Joel?
Billy Joel, of course. Yes.
That would be perfect.
How is hey Pete, you expanded your list, your Mount Rushmore of Saturday Night Live actors to Saturday Night Live sketches, was it?
I didn't. Someone asked me for it, and I gave him skits and characters. And that's on social media. Hang on, I can pull it up for you.
I've got it in front of me. This is
Yeah.
Pete's Mount Rushmore of Saturday Night Live skits. Number 1, Weekend Update. 2, Celebrity Jeopardy. 3, Spartan Cheerleaders. 4, Sweaty Balls. I'm going to go with Kaplan on this one, Pete. Weekend Update's not a skit.
Well, you guys are wrong, and that's my list. You can come up with another list. That's my list, and it's number 1 on my list.
It's just good to see Maggie can disagree with you on something. I was getting nervous.
I know. This is the first time that Pete and I have ever disagreed.
Oh, okay.
4 minutes before the end of the show.
You're a hack, Pete.
Pete, who's the best Weekend Update host? Aha.
I think it's Norm.
Exactly.
100%. That's the only
Dennis
acceptable
Leary was
answer.
really good.
Or Miller.
Dennis Miller?
Dennis Miller, I mean. Sorry,
Dennis Leary would have been good too. Yeah. Dennis Miller was great. Yeah, I think SNL is generational. I mean, everybody who you watch as a teenager is the funniest thing you ever saw in your entire life.
Yeah.
Unless Robert Downey Jr., of course, is EJ.
When EJ was a fetus.
Can I give my Mount Rushmore of Pete's?
Oh,
yes.
These are the versions of Pete Bellotti that we've learned. So from top to bottom, the number 1 overall Pete is Irrational Pete. As I look at a whiteboard that says Pete's mad, and on there is Zach Wilson getting married. Because why Pete would be mad about Zach Wilson getting married in 2024, I'll never understand. That's number 1.
So talk about it.
Number 2 is Boss Pete, which was a Halloween costume of mine one year when I walked around here in khakis, loafers, a windbreaker, and I held a scheduling clipboard, and I had a lunchbox.
Do not have a clipboard.
Wait, Pete, you wear loafers?
That's the fall footwear.
That's right.
Yeah. Number 3 is a compliment. Drops, Pete. As DA said, no one's better at putting drops, putting little sound effects, clips, whatever, into a show. Pete is the legend at that. And then last but not least, there's just old man Pete. That all good things were made before 1960. I do love that version of Pete.
70.
70, pardon me. So Irrational Pete, Boss Pete, Drops Pete, and Old Man Pete. My Mount Rushmore of Pete Pilates.
I thought you were going to do Pete's, like Pete Rose, Pete Rose.
No.
Other Pete's.
That's what I thought you were doing too.
Yeah.
No.
Sneaky Pete. I don't know. But that actor,
Peter Pan. No.
There aren't a lot of Pete's. There aren't a lot of
You just named like 7 important ones.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know if I want Pete Rose on my Mount Rushmore. I'd put Pete Bellotti over that. I mean, there aren't a lot of great
That's
Pete's.
a big compliment.
What about Peter Pumpkin Eater? Where does he go?
Pan?
Peter Piper?
Peter Parker, 100%.
Oh,
yeah,
we get
sorry.
it, nerd.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How about human beings?
I gave
How about
Joe
real
DiMaggio
people?
a shower.
Real people named. There aren't that many Peters.
My dad.
Your dad, Pete Bellotti Sr.
Senior.
Isn't someone at the pearly gates? Is that not Peter? Is that
Saint
someone
Saint
else?
Peter, yeah. He is the Gates.
Are there kids named Peter now? Like, any of your kids?
No,
have friends
everyone's named
Pete?
Hayden, Jaden,
Yeah.
Caden, and
Yeah.
Lincoln,
Layden.
Max. Yeah, there's not a lot of Pete's.
everyone's named Scott Layden. That's it.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Well, we've got the number 1 Pete. Lucky
we
us.
had the number 1 Pete.
Yeah.
Pete,
Well,
what's it going to be like in the morning when we see you on Tuesday? Are you even going to acknowledge us?
I'm going to try to I'm going to try to adjust to another schedule. I've been on the schedule for 12 years, so that's going to be a little different.
When are you going to sleep exactly? We've been doing the
I
math.
have no idea.
You have no
November.
idea?
November, that's when I'll sleep.
But at least you're in perfect health right now.
Hey, Jack LaLanne, eat your heart out.
Wow. Good
Wow,
Built
Pete.
for this.
Jack LaLanne.
That's old man Pete.
Whoa.
You will at least you won't have the Mets keep you up at night until that long, hopefully.
My luck, this will be the year they make the run where my sleep is all off in at least the first month.
Is that why you did this, to change up the luck for the Mets? Is you decided to go on a new shift?
That's exactly why I did it.
Oh my gosh! Meanwhile,
Jets finally have some primetime games too. This could work out very well for Pete.
Yeah, no, right. The Jets and the Mets win. You're going to change shifts every year just to kick up the
Stay
luck.
ahead.
By the way, Maggie, it's been a week away. As you said, you've been in a closet in New Jersey. We miss you. Are you ready to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm symptom free. I've got my sense of smell and taste back after testing positive for COVID on Sunday. I'm ready to get back to you guys. I've never felt this disconnected from the show. I feel like I've been in different countries and felt more connected to the show than being in this closet in New Jersey. This is rough.
I thought you've done great. You sounded great. You did make me laugh today. I said, "What, Maggie? Why don't you help me out?" You go, "What did you expect me to do from a closet in New Jersey?"
Big butts matter.
So we got college football this weekend too. By the way, like everything's coming together except for Pete leaving. Serious.
Everything's coming together except Pete's leaving, right?
Well, I mean,
except it's falling apart.
Depending how you look at it, that could be part of the.
That could be positive.
Actually, if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to end the show with some really heartfelt comments about Pete. Pete Bellotti is moving on. Oh, wait, something just came on. North Carolina announced Max Johnson's going to be out for 8 games. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. Maggie, no Max Johnson. He's out.
He's coming. Everything's getting better now.
Wait, who just said that? Well, who's that guy that used to sit there, Bogus?
Already forgot his name. Paul?
All right. Thanks, everybody. Maggie, you got to get back here. You got to get back here soon. Have a great Labor Day weekend, everyone. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.